The heat is on. The heat is on. Results from the last heat. Red was first from Indonesia, moving to the round 3. Blue got second, stopping the competition here at the round 2. In this heat number 4 of the round 2, Callum Robson from Australia up against Kai Chandler from Australia as well in blue. Good luck and have fun. There's 29 minutes and 15 seconds to go.
Taiwan Robinson 他是穿着红色的防棉衣对上 Kai Chandler 他是蓝色的防棉衣。
This is round 2, heat number 4. In the red we have Callum Robson from Australia. In the blue, Kai Chandler, also from Australia. There is 28 minutes remaining, 28 minutes.
Welcome back to a beautiful afternoon here in Taiwan, Jinzun Harbour. You're watching the 2018 WSL World Junior Surfing Championships, just in time here for men's round number 2, heat number 4 between Kai Chandler and Callum Robson, both from Australia. Brad Bricknell here alongside Chris Binns for the call. Two Aussies, Binnsy, going head to head here, one of the wildcards and one of the surfers here also achieving a spot here via the Australasian region.
Yep, so Callum Robson is from Evans Head, north coast of New South Wales, not too far from where you base yourself these days, Brickers.
Yeah, that's right, beautiful part of the world.
And Kai Chandler is from the Gold Coast. He's a member of the Snapper Rocks Board Riders Club, which of course counts guys like Joel Parkinson amongst their ranks, Steph Gilmore as well.
Yep, it's a hotbed of talent. We've been talking a little bit about the talent that's coming out of San Clemente, California. It would be absolutely remiss of us not to talk about the talent that's come out of the Gold Coast over the years, Binnsy, as you alluded to there. Bunch of world champions down there. And well, talking about world champions, this could be one of the future world champions from Indonesia. And Ketut Agus is down on the beach now, the winner of their last heat with Shannon Hughes.
Thanks, guys. Ketut, congratulations for taking the win. And you took the win on the Asia QS this year. That is a very prestigious tour. We're really stoked for you. Talk us through conditions and how you're feeling coming into this junior World Championships.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to come and to be a wild card here, and pretty stoked to come here for joining the World Junior. It's pretty excited, you know. Yeah, and next going to round 3.
Awesome, well done. How do you feel with this kind of surf? What's it like compared to what you've been training on?
Oh yeah, the waves here like windy right now, so I've been surf like this condition too, so yeah, just smash the waves there.
Well, keep on smashing it. Anyone back home you'd like to say hello to?
Oh yeah, hello untuk semuanya di Indonesia, terus supporting saya ya, terima kasih.
Well done, we're cheering you on. And we're going to go back to you guys. Take us through live action.
Yeah, what a great character is Ketut Agus there, talking to Shannon Hughes down on the beach. Binnsy, you spent a lot of time in Indonesia, in Bali in particular. This guy is one of the rising stars coming out of that place.
Yeah, he is, and he's a really popular guy as well. He's just got such a beautiful spirit to him. Surfs a lot around the Bukit, but one of those guys who surfs all over the southern end of Bali. As we see Kai Chandler on screen, well, he's already got a 3.5 to his name. I assume that is what we're looking at right now. We're still waiting for a score to come in. live action. This is Callum Robson.
Yeah, Callum Robson now opening up his shoulders. A lot of speed and power throughout that opening section there for the Aussie. Of course, two Australians up against each other here. Only one will advance into the third round. One will be eliminated at this point in time. It's the Gold Coast up against northern New South Wales. And let's take a look at this one, Benzie.
Yep, so Callum flying down the line, up and over, sort of effortless surfing. It's really good looking stuff from Callum. Bucket of water on that. He's a pretty big kid, and he's done it very nicely on that. His opening wave, 24 and a half minutes to go.
Yeah, like what we saw there from both surfers actually. So let's see. It looks like Robson probably is going to get the nod over that exchange as we see surfers in heats coming up later on today. I think that is...
That's Kalani Romero.
There you go.
And next to Kalani was Sam Griffiths, who's the Quicksilver team manager. And the poor guy is herding cats this week here in Taiwan. He's got about 10 surfers in the field, so that's pretty much a third of the draw. He doesn't have enough room in his car. He's having to decide who goes on the shuttle buses. He's got to make sure that they can get everyone's surfboards into their vehicle, and yeah, you try to look after. He's not a school teacher, but he's trying to look after a dozen teenagers.
I've got 3 kids at home, and it feels like I'm looking after a herd of cats at any given day. So yeah, take my head off it. Take my head off to him. And scores dropping in there for Kai Tanda. Second score 4.33. Still waiting on the first score of Callum Robson to come through, but it will be Tandler with an early priority. Robson was second priority, and a 4.93 there from Callum Robson. So, Benzie, it was Robson with that extra speed that's got that score in.
Yeah, he's straight back into action again, looking to back up that 4.93. Wow, powerful surfing from the natural footer. He's opening up really strong on this. Releases the tail for a bit of flare on that reverse. And pets the kitty a little bit, stands back up after some whitewater rafting, and that will be his second score.
Yeah, this looks like Tim Robson on the beach, just keeping a close eye. His dad here coming out for this event. So 4.93 opener, that was a second score here, and Benzie looks like he's mixed it up nicely with his choice of manoeuvres.
Yeah, really powerful surfer, just moving plenty of water as he heads down the line, and then mixes things up, releasing the tail on that last turn. So not a big wave, but 3 great turns, 3 varied turns from Callum Robson along the journey, and that's going to be his second number. Comes in at a 4.07.
Yeah, there we go. So both surfers now 2 waves apiece locked in. It is Callum Robson from Evans Head in northern New South Wales, Australia, who takes out the early lead over Kai Tandler. It's a very close heat though. Close opening exchanges with a 4.58 or 68 rather, the requirement from Kai Tanda, and he is the man with priority, and he also has the advantage of 22 minutes remaining on the clock. So loving the opportunity. 30-minute heats all day long. Round 2 sudden death surfing, man on man, but plenty of opportunities for these world's best surfers to showcase their skills. And that with that wind coming up, Benzie, I'm hoping we're going to see a lot more of those aerial maneuvers. Katut certainly showcase what was possible out there.
Yep, you would think so. All right, so Callum Robson, he had a pretty handy year on the Australasian Junior Series. Took out the NIB Pro Junior in Newcastle. The women's division of that was won by Alyssa Locke, who we saw earlier on in round 2, making her way through to round 3. He also got a second at the Skull Candy, losing to Keihu Butler.
Oh, there we go. He's coming up in the very next heat up against Roy Kanazawa from Japan. 21 minutes remaining in this one. A bit of a slower start. Scores pretty evenly matched, you've got to say, except for that second wave of Tandler's 3.50 up against the 4.07 of Robson. So a tight encounter. Only 4.68 is the requirement from Tandler. And of course, we will finish up heat number 12 all the way through to heat number 12 of the day. Should finish up around 4:30 p.m. here local time. It's about 1/4 midday right now. 20 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock. Unfortunately, we'll be saying goodbye to one Australian in this heat today.
Yeah, friendly fire early for the Aussies.
Surfer in blue has first priority.
3 men who've got there through their junior series rankings from Australia, plus the man in the water right now, Kai Tandler. So 4 Aussies in the men's side of the draw.
Yeah, of course, Tandler getting that wildcard call-up. He joined his fellow countrymen here in Taiwan. Robson just hunting now, just looking for an opportunity, as we've been alluding to all day. These peaks do shift around a little bit on the lineup, but it looks like it's going to be Robson with second priority, pulling the trigger on this one. He is your current heat leader. He's a beautiful surfer on his forehand over here, showing all those skills, speed and power, surfing great into the criteria, goes for the air reverse, and again he's got that turn on a string, Binzi.
Yeah, that one was put down with no trouble whatsoever. That will, you would imagine, get rid of his 4.07 and extend his early lead. Kai Tandler looking for a 4.68 with 19 minutes to go.
Yeah, Robson got that wave under priority. I didn't see where Tandler was in that particular situation, but Robson obviously found some space to move, and Binzi, just talk us through this replay.
Yep, puts the foot down. He's got speed to burn, turns it into that first big blast, and then up into the lip a second time. Eyes off his target and just whips through that one nice and quick. That board looking pretty solid underfoot. Gets a little bit of tail drift on that first turn. And right about now he decides, alright, we're going to launch. Puts his foot down and stomps himself a 6.33, so the best wave of this heat so far. Pair that with his 4.93, he is out in front. Kai Tandler now looking for a 6.93 to move into the lead.
Yeah, always a great feeling if you're able to get a good score under priority, and he's done just that, and putting a bit more pressure now on Tandler. And looks like, just looking at the priority on the screen, looks like no priority been allocated. There it is, back to Tandler. I was just wondering whether we may have missed a strong paddle for him potentially. But he's back in the driving seat as far as priority is concerned, the 6.93, and he got a 0.67 as Binzi is pointing out on the screen. So just a quick in and out there for Tandler. Losing priority for a second, but he regains that, of course, because Robson is still making his way back out from that last wave of 6.33.
Yep, Callum Robson's going to be surfing fired up. He lost narrowly yesterday to Luke Thompson, the young South African, who didn't really do much in the first 20 minutes of the heat. Banked a pair of sixes in the dying minutes.
I like what you said in the interview with him, Binzi. You asked him if he was still on South African time, maybe asleep for the first 10 minutes of that heat.
And yeah, Callum narrowly finishing second by less than 0.4 of a point. And there was a bit of a controversy because for a couple of minutes the priority disc wasn't totally clear to the surfers in the water, and we saw Callum come up and have a bit of a word with the judges to ask if they could please explain what the situation was. It all got resolved. There was never really any talk of a resurf or anything like that, and Luke Thompson is through to the third round, but Callum Robson might be feeling slightly aggrieved, maybe didn't completely agree with the call, and he'll be fired up to see if he can't smash his way back into that round 3 as it is here from round 2.
Yeah, for sure. That's the opportunity these guys have, that they can come up and have a talk to the commissioner, to the contest director, and I think the outcome of that one was that Luke Thompson got his waves under priority. It was a bit further down the beach, and what they did, the conclusion they came to is that the result of the heat wouldn't have been altered with that priority call, because Thompson did get those waves outside of priority and no one was near him. So
well, he got his first wave with priority, but that was clear. There was no
clear.
debate as to whether or not he had priority at that point. And then as he paddled back out, he caught a wide wave and got his second score. Whether or not he had priority wouldn't have stopped him from getting into that wave. So it didn't really affect the outcome, but there was a moment where Callum was looking at the scoreboard and we could see him waving his arms around. So, then you can bring in matters of were you distressed, were you put off the mind games, all that sort of business. All right, here's Kai Tandler's last wave. He's just going to fire off a couple of quick turns. That's only going to come in at a 2.8. 15 minutes, 15 seconds to go. Callum Robson with a 6.33 and a 4.93. The leader right now, Kai Tandler looking for a 6.93.
You look at these two guys in the seat, Benzie. It feels like one's got rhythm and the other one's still trying to force the situation. Robson's the one that's got rhythm. He's looking really loose on his board. He's finding those connections. Tandler, on the other hand, feels like he's slightly out of sorts, out of rhythm, and trying to force those sections and force those opportunities.
Yeah, great observation, Brad. As we sneak down to the second half, 14 minutes 40 to go. And yeah, Callum Robson, he won't be feeling anywhere near relaxed at the moment. He's going to want to get rid of that 4.93. Kai Tandler will realistically want to get rid of both of his scores in the second half of the heat. See if he can't put together an impressive two-wave total to really shake up this heat and book himself that ticket through to the third round.
Let's have a look here. Some nice swell lines making their way through the lineup. Looks like this one's going to go right underneath the man with priority and the hit leader, Callum Robson. So still plenty of time remaining, as Benzie said, just under that halfway mark now. It's Robson from northern New South Wales, Evans Head on the east coast of Australia, up against his Gold Coast counterpart. Of course, the Gold Coast, home of Snapper Rocks and also home of the first event on the World Championship Tour. Benzie, that's been pushed out to the beginning of April for next year, the start of the 2019 Championship Tour season.
It has been. So for some of us, we've been given a bit more of a summer holiday because the World Juniors aren't in January like they were last year.
Yeah.
And Snapper is going to run a little bit later as well. Nonetheless, there's going to be plenty of events happening through January, February. Of course, the Vulcan Pipe Pro is a QS 3000 that takes place at the end of January, start of February. Incredible event, that one. Always seems to get
Best
fantastic waves. Defending champion is Seth Moniz. Solly Bailey won the year before. And then before them, it's been all either Jamie O'Brien, John Florence or Kelly Slater.
Yeah, an incredible event. I mean, the surf that you guys had there last year was absolutely mind-blowing. And of course, speaking of that first few months of the year, it also kicks off the Australian leg of the World Qualifying Series as well, with a bunch of 6,000 events, QS 6000s in Manly and Newcastle to get things going. Of course, it's the New South Wales Whistler Surf Series as well, a whole bunch of QS 1000s and 3000s as well to kick off the year.
Plus, the Australian Board Riders Battle will be taking place once again in Newcastle, and that's a fantastic event. Really showcasing the club spirit that's pretty unique to Australia. I know they're starting to get into their board riders in California. We just saw Katut Agus in the last heat. I'm not sure which board riders he's in, but the board riders spirit is strong in Bali as well. That's kind of a bit of a legacy from the many Aussies who make their way up there.
I think it's a good point you raised there, Benzie, because we've seen obviously board riders been around for a long time, but the resurgence in participation in the younger crew, and particularly in the women's side of things, has really gone through the roof over the last few years. And you've got to think that that's grassroots foundation is one of the core strengths that Australian surfing has.
Yep, and with the Olympic inclusion in a couple of years, you'd imagine that the interest in surfing is going to peak even further. So the club nature is pretty good. You know, the Aussies are so proud of where they come from. Kai Tandler right now, Snapper Rocks board riders, and you just read their honour roll, and it's guys like Mark Occhilupo, Joel Parkinson, Stephanie Gilmore, you know, local legends like Jay Phillips.
Yeah, all amazing surfers. Of course, Kai Tandler from the Gold Coast, as we said, and then Callum Robson from just probably about an hour and a half down the coast in Evans Head into northern New South Wales. As Benzie, we take a look at the recap here. It is Callum Robson in the lead so far.
Yeah, this is Kai Tandler opening proceedings. The red jersey has grabbed this one strongly so far. He really paces himself nicely down the wave. Very sure-footed on every wave that he's taken off on so far.
Yeah, it certainly has. And the 6.33 and 4.93 are the two scores he's got as his top two. Well, he uses priority on that wave, interestingly, to see a quick in and out for him. So priority will shift over to Tandler if he is out the back there with Callum. It looks like we actually are waiting on the score to come through from Tandler. So through that recap, let's have a look at this. What happened through that little break, Benzie?
Yep, so Kai Tandler putting the foot down. He's skating across this section. He's going to mix it up. That's a very similar air reverse to the one we saw from Callum Robson earlier. The difference being that Callum spiced things up with a few turns before he got to that point. That was the exclamation mark on a pretty nice string of manoeuvres. Kai Tandler, just the one hit there. So he spotted his ramp from the moment he got to his feet and raced down the line. Did it very nicely.
Yeah,
but just the one turn. So what's that score going to come in at? We'll get back to that one as we see Callum Robson in action.
Nice corner on the outside here. And Callum Robson opened up with a nice open face carve. He's got a bit more froth on the face now. This wave tapers down the inside section. And he'll kick out. 4.93 is what he's trying to get rid of. Nice opening turn on the outside. A second little tag. We'll take a closer look at that one in a second and see if that's going to increase his lead over Tandler. Of course, we're still waiting for that score to come through. Here's the replay.
Yeah, hard off the bottom, really throwing some water around. That board looks so lively underfoot. Got a little bit hung up on that second turn. Drives through the white water on that one. And, yeah, from start to finish, really evenly measured. It wasn't like his turns were bigger at the start and petered out. They were strong from start to finish. Number coming in for Kai Tandler's last wave is a 5.47. Not enough for the lead, but that is his highest score. So now he only needs a 5.8, but we've got a score to come in for red. Anything over a 4.93 will further widen that gap between first and second. 8 minutes 30 to go.
Nice close hit on our hands between the two Australians. Kai Tandler up against Callum Robson. 8 minutes to go. WSL World Junior Surfing Championships Round 2, Day 2 of action. Brad Britnell here alongside Chris Binns for the call. And it looks like we're going to get some live action as the 5.17 is dropped for last of Robson, meaning this wave needs to get a 6.04 or higher if Tandler wants to go into the lead. He's doing his best to try and manufacture some speed through the inside section. Finds a little connection now. Little white water climb to finish off a little tag back. And he'll milk this thing all the way down to the northern end of the little harbour over here. Gets a bit of drift on that last turn, and we'll finish up pretty close to those cobblestones right on the northern side of the break.
Yep, so Kai Tandler now chasing a 6.04 after Callum Robson drops in a 5.17 as his backup. 7 minutes 45 to go. We're getting down to the pointy end of things. Robson with a 6.33 and a 5.17 current leader. Here goes Kai Tandler. He's got a 5.47. He needs a backup around about a 6.1 to put him up into first. 6.04 the requirement. He's done it pretty nicely.
Yeah, smaller wave here, but he's kept busy the entire way through, Benzie, and we'll see how the judges think that may come into play as far as that scale is concerned. 7 minutes remaining, pretty critical score we are waiting on.
Yep, he wasn't going to die wondering, that's for sure. He threw everything he had into that wave. It wasn't the biggest wave we've seen yet. And score comes in at a 3.9, so not enough. Still on the lookout for a 6.04. Here goes Callum Robson trying to get rid of his 5.17.
Hit lead up and riding. He's got so much speed right out the gates. Puts the big reversing, lands on the tail, tries to revert out. And unfortunately, just digs that tail right into the water there, and couldn't get those fins to engage and spin him around.
Yeah, that was a big score gone begging. I mean, very, very hard landing for Callum Robson. What I love about that is it's so spontaneous. Started off with the big turn, you'll see it now. Times his ride beautifully up into the lip, and then this came from nowhere. You were sort of expecting just like a fin waft or a sort of powerful lip glide floater, and then all of a sudden he's just gone bing, and that's the sort of manoeuvre that you see guys like John Florence and Felipe Toledo flinging to the flats, and not telegraphed. It just comes from nowhere. It gives you that that wow factor where you're just like taken by surprise.
That's the surfing that we love to see, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got rubber in their joints, or at least they did until John did his knee in Bali on a series of massive airs. Straight after he got knocked out of the Commune Bali Protected at Karamas.
That's right.
John went down the beach and tried to take out his frustrations on a few innocent onshore sections, and unfortunately paid the price. But word is we'll be seeing John Florence back in action at the Billabong Pipeline Masters. Apparently we're also seeing Kelly Slater back in action, and Kai Orbelli, who's sort of been the three injured surfers on the World Tour this year. Here goes Kai Tandler.
Yep, just
generate a score on that one.
Just trying to force that opening turn again, and that last exchange, the two scores not going into either surfer's top two, so the situation remains the same with around 5 minutes remaining. It is Robson out in front with priority. Tandler in second, 6.04. It's a good old-fashioned slugfest here for the two Australians, trying to keep their dream alive here at the WSL World Juniors. Of course, the loser here, Binzi, equal 25th place, and will take home $1,000 in prize money.
$1,000 ain't bad to come to this beautiful part of the world, surf warm water waves in nothing but your trunks, occasionally roll out for a few heats with just one other person in the water, and see if you can't drown yourself in dumplings before you leave. I'm a little bit worried that I'm going to turn into a hot and spicy dumpling before we get out of here.
How good are they, though?
They are so good.
Kanazawa from Japan is going to be coming up next against the powerhouse in Keihu Butler. Looking forward to watching that exchange go down from the sidelines. 4 minutes and 16 seconds remaining. There we go. There he is, the number one surfer on the Asia Pacific region.
Yeah, Australasia Series.
Yeah. 4 minutes remaining. Robson leads. Tandler still looking for the 6.04. Both surfers are side by side out on the lineup. It is Robson though with priority, and in the driving seat, of course, we have seen what Kai Tandler is capable of. 5.47 on his last scoring wave for that air reverse. So I'm thinking he's going to have to go to the air, and he's going to find something under priority. Well, he had a look at that one that didn't quite materialise for him, and meanwhile Robson making a play on this right-hander. Big strong paddle. Did he make his intentions clear on that one? Looks like he's going to hold on to priority. Tandler still with second. He's going to have a stroke at this one. Here he goes. Tandler looking for the 6.04. Got to find something big. And it's not going to happen on that one. 3 minutes remaining.
3 minutes and 20 seconds.
All right, so Kai Tandler staying busy. That was his 8th wave. Just a minor score. Last wave for Callum Robson only comes in at a 2.2. Or was that live action?
That was live action.
To come in, but he
yep.
just went down on that wave, so it's probably not going to be too far removed from the 2.2. As we see a bit of cloud cover coming over, maybe this is going to.
It's the first cloud I've seen since I've been here.
Yeah, maybe this will calm down the wind somewhat. Not that it's massively howling or anything. So that's the end of the northern bay. The long rights run into that, and then the beach is can be a bit of a tricky proposition to get up. Hence, you'll see a lot of the surfers coming left on their last wave just to come up on the beach that's right in front of the tower. Last score for Callum Robson was a 4.17, so he wasn't far off replacing or upgrading his 5.17 before he went down. 2 minutes 15 to go.
Yeah, the pressure now on Tandler. That's 6.04. The good news for Tandler now that he has priority, so he's got 2 minutes to wait, 120 seconds for him to pick the eyes out of the best set wave that comes through, and then Binzi, he's got to absolutely execute. I'd love to see him throw everything at this and go for those high risk maneuvers.
Well, yeah, there's no point doing anything else. So with 1:45 to go, Kai Tandler has priority. Pretty simple equation. He needs to find himself a set wave and not hold back one little bit. Callum Robson has second priority. He's looking to upgrade a 5.17, while Tandler is looking for a 6.04.
Yep, this is now where both surfers at the mercy of the ocean, looking out behind them. Not a lot of indication that there's going to be a set inside the next 20 to 30 seconds at least, but of course about a minute and 10 on the clock. This is not a wave pool. We can't just dial a wave up. And although that will be part of surfing's future, no doubt, as we've seen with the WSL wave pool event in Lemoore, the KS Waveco technology.
1 minute.
But not here in Taiwan. It's a beautiful setup for a contest, and both surfers now coming down to that wire. A few little sets here, maybe approaching Binzi.
45 seconds to go. Can Kai Tandler latch on to a 6.04, or can Callum Robson play some defence and keep himself in the picture for that third round berth? 30 seconds to go. Sky getting a little bit dark. Are there dark clouds in Kai Tandler's future, or can he create a little bit of light and get himself that 6.04. Time is not on his side, but we've got some lines right now. Callum Robson has second priority, has to seed the way to Kai Tandler. 10 seconds to go. Needs a 6.04. He really cannot afford to hold back. Big turn, the second one. Throws plenty of water there as well. And, well, body language from Kai not necessarily suggesting he thinks he got that one.
Yeah, that'll be the end of the road for Kai Tandler, unfortunately, and Callum Robson now booking himself a place back in that third round. We're going to take a short break from the action here at Jinsun Harbour. When we come back, it's going to be more men's round 2 action. We're going to bring in Shannon Hughes for the call. I'm going to go downstairs and talk to Callum Robson. Don't go away. We're going to be right back straight after this break.
Story. Powerful. Heavy. Legendary. Deadly. Definitive.
Taidong has the largest coastline among all of Taiwan's administrative districts, reaching as long as 176 kilometers, with 7 Aboriginal clans comprising 1/3 of Taidong's population, which is the highest ratio in Taiwan.
Welcome back. We are in day number 2 of our World Junior Championships out in the lineup. We're in round 2 for our men. We already saw round 2 of the women in the water early this morning, but out with live action. Keihu Butler up against Roy Kanazawa. So New Zealand against Japan. It is going to be a showdown, that is for sure. A little bit of wind on the water now, Benzie, but still seems pretty fun.
Yep, and these guys have been surfing constantly for the last week or so. Keihu catching plenty of waves. This is Roy Kanazawa into action. Really lively, springy surfing hard off the bottom. Banks to 4.17 for his opener. And then Keihu with the right of reply on the wave behind. Just carving that shoulder, really driving himself through those turns. He's a big, powerful fella. And he's doing it nicely on his opener. Goes down. Commentator's curse on the end of that first one, but scores are in. Roy Kanazawa a 6, Kanazawa a 4.17. Keihu Butler needing something better than that to move up into the lead. 27.5 minutes to go.
So nice solid start for Keihu Butler. Drops a 7.17 for that opening ride. We'll have to get that replay up on screen, but just before that we are going to jump down to the beach and hear from Callum Robson.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon. Callum, that was a great hit you surfed there, but always hard to come up a hit against a fellow Aussie man-on-man.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing coming up against Kai early in the rounds because we're both staying at the same place and stuff. But anyway, that's how it goes, and you just got to just deal with it and just surf what you're going to do and just stick to what you know.
Just watching that hit, looked like you had a lot more rhythm than Kai did early on. Your board seemed to be really flowing nicely under your feet, and that helped you get out to a pretty early lead on him. That's you never let go.
Yeah, my goal was just to get some early waves out there and just start building and then try and put a big score in at the end, which I didn't do, but kind of gave myself the opportunity but didn't capitalise. So got a few things to take out for the next heat and yeah, just move forward and just learn and stuff like that.
Can you give us any insights into those takeouts that you really learned?
Just not landing one of the punts after doing a big turn into a punt. I could have landed that and really tightened the screws on the heat, but yeah, just finishing waves and just like that.
Just real quick, that board looked really sharp under your feet. Can you talk to us about what you're riding out there?
Yeah, I'm riding a Super brand surfboard, Sparrow from the Gold Coast Shapes. It's a 5'10.5" Magic mix, and that was a board he just got out before I got here. So thanks, Sparrow, if you're listening.
Well, it seems to be working for you, mate. You're through now to round 3. I look forward to seeing you further on in the draw.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Back to you.
And thanks so much for that. Great to hear from Callum. Congratulations moving into round 3 against some of our guys who took out the heat leads yesterday afternoon. And out in the lineup, we can see that our guys have been busy. So Roy drops a 4.07 for his second wave and a score to come through for Cave Butler. Take us through this replay.
Yeah, so looking really lively on his backhand. Whipped through that first turn. Unfortunately, couldn't do much more damage down the line. A series of turns, but none of them with the same connection as that first one. So the majority of Roy's points will be out the back. Now we're looking at a replay of Kahu's last wave. Drives through that turn, doing it very nicely. So the Kiwi surfer, he's a powerhouse. Is smashing away at this one, and there it is. Best wave of the heat so far, a 7.43. Puts him comfortably in the lead with 25 minutes to go.
Wow, epic surfing from Kehu Butler. Absolute power being brought to the table. Smaller wave selection, but he just tore it apart. Drops a near excellent score. I'm going to be really excited to see if he gets on a proper set wave, what he's able to pull out of the bag.
Yep, so far just those couple of in-betweeners and dropping a pair of 7s for a commanding lead over Roy, who has the pair of 4s. 24.5 minutes to go. Cool to hear Callum say that he's riding a 5'10.5". I'm a massive fan of ordering a board that's a half-inch. I feel like all the shapers have their own templates that are all set up for 6'1", 5'11", 5'9". As soon as you throw a half-inch in there, they have to give your board a little bit of special attention.
I like that. So let's talk about board design. Bricks and I were talking about epoxy versus, kind of polyurethane boards and the differences there. But talk me through the design of rail work, of fins, and what kind of maybe guys are thinking about with this sort of break in mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of guys riding the epoxies this week. Just maybe not today because there's a little bit more push, but yesterday there was definitely slower conditions, and guys were looking for that extra bit of buoyancy, as we see Roy Kanazawa, a smaller wave and never really getting too vertical on him there. All the surfers are going to be riding thrusters, there's no doubt about that. We'll see a mixture of futures and FCS. Huge variety in fin choice, it's all personal preference. A lot of guys like the bigger fin because it gives them a bit more drive. Smaller fins can sometimes allow the tail to release a little bit easier. Whether you're a futures guy or an FCS guy, that's up to you. Not many surfers these days sticking with the glass-ons. Yep. You might see them on some of the bigger boards, but yeah, just the guys and girls travel with so many surfboards these days that having that luxury of being able to take off your fins is just a necessity. It's a need, not a want. And you may as well do it yourself rather than have the airlines do it for you.
Ain't that true?
Tail shape as well. You might see some of the wider tails when it's on the slower days, but generally you're going to be just seeing your sort of standard squash tails, rounded squares, that type thing. No real swallow tails. Just keeping it simple, really. And yeah, that's what we've got in under our feet. I'm pretty sure that Keu rides Wayne Lowen shapes. He's a Kiwi who lives on the Gold Coast, which is the same as Kehu, another Kiwi who lives on the Gold Coast. And those guys seem to have developed a fair partnership over the years. And we just heard Callum Robson in the last heat saying that he's riding the Super Brand surfboard, shaped by Sparrow on the Gold Coast. Here's Roy Kanazawa. Can't see what he's got under his foot. Could possibly be a JS, which would be another Gold Coast-based brand. And he is now looking down the barrel of a 14.6 two-wave combination. Kayou Butler with a 7.43 and a 7.17 is in the lead. Roy Kanazawa with a 4.17 and a 4.07 needs to ditch both of those and start again if he's to get himself through to round 3 here at the World Junior Champs.
Well, he's looking sharp on his backhand, and that is the word from co-commentator Benzie on what boards these guys will bring into the water this week. Kayou Butler with an extremely strong start for 2 sevens. Gaining momentum, a 7.17 to start, a 7.43 for his second wave. He'll be selective now as he's going to be looking for something to reach into that excellent range. And Roy really needs to get active and busy, catching something with a little bit more juice to it, putting some power into it. And we do have a score to come through for Roy, so we're just waiting for that. His current situation is a combination situation of 14.60, which means he needs to replace both of his scores and start fresh. With 20 minutes on the clock, that is fairly easy to do at this stage with so much time remaining. And we will see what happens as the wind has come up a little bit. The conditions have changed in the last maybe hour and a half. There's a good bit of cloud cover that's come in with this wind. You can tell the difference even just on broadcast with the cameras. Not so much of that sunshine just piercing through that pretty blue water. Looks a little bit dark and ominous now. That may bring some cooling down for us here, though. It's quite muggy and warm on the beach in Jinsoon Harbor today, and getting a swim in between is definitely a necessity. May have some little slight showers, some thunderstorms coming through this afternoon, and then with that we will have that jump in swell throughout the week and into the weekend as we get some more storm activity, which I think these guys are looking forward to seeing. It's fun to see them surf in the smaller waves, cleaner conditions, but to see them get in some powerful, kind of woolly and wild conditions will be pretty great.
Yeah, I'm just having a bit of a look at Kayou Butler's social media. Still riding the Lowen surfboards, but looks like he might also be working with JS Industries. So for some of the smaller shapers, it is hard to keep up with the demand and the volume of boards that these pro surfers go through these days. All right, here goes Roy Kanazawa. This wave doesn't look like it has a lot of potential, but he has driven through some turns. The second one was a delight. And doing it nicely down the line. Again, wave size is going to affect him there. The judges have made it pretty clear through the early parts of this round that they want to see you on the best waves. And that was really not much of a lump that Roy Kanazawa took off on. That second turn was really crisp, though. Looking forward to the replay of that one.
So Roy's previous score comes through to 3.57, that other left, which does not factor into his top 2 waves at the moment. We'll see how this one comes through as the judges debate. With 18 minutes on the clock. That is Kayou Butler sitting out the back in red. He's in priority with 2 great scores on the board so far. As we check this replay from Roy, just gets himself around that section. Nice little tap off the foam to start off with. Nice, beautiful carve on that second turn. Goes a little more vertical. Once again, throws out to the flats just a tiny bit and drops a 4.73. So his best wave of this campaign, which has taken him out of combination situation. He's now chasing one massive score of a 9.87 to catch up to Kayou Butler.
Yeah, I really like Roy's style. He's got very quiet upper body. There's no arms waving around all over the place. That second turn was just effortless. He drove through it, chucked plenty of spray, and earned himself the best wave of his heat so far, a 4.73. So now needing a 9.87. So he can get there on the strength of one wave, but you would imagine if he's to be in with a shot, he'll need to do it across 2. Plenty of time remaining though, 17 minutes 15 to go in this heat. Is Kayou Butler, the reigning Australasian Pro Junior champion. He took his 1 win last year on the Junior Series was at the Skullcandy Pro Juniors, so a very prestigious event. It used to be Gromfest down in Lennox Head, so that one's been around for a long time. And that was the one where KU sealed the deal on his junior series win, and he celebrated by performing a haka on the beach with some of his Kiwi compatriots. And that was really cool. For those of you who don't know what the haka is, that's a traditional sort of war dance in New Zealand, made famous by the All Blacks, who perform it before they play their rugby tests. And it's a pretty fearsome display. And KU is a Maori. He's very proud of his heritage, and he's got the full sleeve tattoo as well. That's very symbolic to him. And he's just a really nice kid. He's a big smiling lad. He sees you down the beach and he's always quick with, "Hey bro, how you doing?" And he's got the thickest Kiwi accent and he loves it.
That's amazing. Tall guy as well, man. He throws so much power in. Very tall, long stature. As we see, smaller competitor, nice and compressed, really quick athlete here. Ryo Kanazawa doesn't really get the better of that one, but up and riding behind. Kehu Butler just smashing away. Look at the rail dig on those carves. Goes 12 o'clock, super speedy, and representing the Kiwis well.
So that was KU's third wave. He's looking to replace a 717. He's got only the two waves so far. It's a pair of sevens, which is pretty handy. 14.6, a imposing total already. Here's Roy Kanazawa on the wave beforehand. Roy has a 4.73. He's looking for a 9 to get himself back into the lead for the first time. We see KU stalling. He wanted that big first connection with the first section. He got it, and then he drove around a long wraparound cutback. And so 3 lightning quick turns from KU. Plenty of variety, and did it very nicely. So we're halfway through this heat. 15 minutes to run. This is Heat 5, Round 2, World Junior Championship action. We saw KU in the last heat of the day yesterday. Went down narrowly to Cade Matson. Eli Hanneman was also in that heat, so a real blockbuster. The 16-year-old prodigy from Maui, highly touted on the back of a string of searing video parts, and we're going to see him in a few heats' time as well. So Eli is in heat 10 today, and it's looking like we're going to see all of round 2 done and dusted, male and female today. So we're really ploughing through the action. 18 heats yesterday, facing up to the same again today, which will put us in a really nice position as conditions look to possibly get a bit trickier towards the latter half of this competition window. Scores in for KU Butler last wave, a 6.63. Doesn't go into his top 2. Roy Kanazawa would love that wave right about now. His last wave was a 2.93. He needs a 9.87 with 13 and a half minutes to go.
Wow, so great stuff out in the lineup. Kehu Butler representing New Zealand very well, as are Paige Hareb and Ricardo Christie, requalified for the championship tour for next year. So 2 Kiwis will be traveling the world with the world's best, and I'm sure that we will see this guy in the mix with them hopefully sooner rather than later, bringing all of that power and spirit into the championship tour. And we can see our surfer in blue, Roy Kanazawa, sitting in second place. He does have priority though. He's chasing that big score of a 9.87 to put himself back in the mix. More realistically, to replace those 2 4s on the board. Put something in the 6, 5, 6, 7 range, and he'll be right back in the mix to chase down that heat total. You can see these guys putting some distance between themselves. So Kehu Butler sitting to the left-hand side of our screen. He is paddling south, but Roy is way down to the right-hand side of our kind of contest zone here. He'll be looking maybe for those lefts coming through, and Kehu just sitting out front, maybe chasing down some of those big right-handers that have been wheeling their way down the point. Roy has a look there, decides not to go. You can see that wind is definitely throwing some shakiness to the surface of the water.
Yeah, it's not. It's sort of neither here nor there at the moment. The wind hasn't fully come in force. It's generally tended towards cross shore. The trade is from the north as well. That's the prevailing wind, which we've said is going to be pretty conducive to some impressive aerial surfing on the right-handers. What we can say to you is later on this week, when it looks like the swell is huge and the wind is going to be howling, that sweep is going to be running from the left of the screen to the right, from the north to the south. We had a couple of days like that in the early, the first weekend of the World Longboarding Championships, and it was such hard work in the lineup. Duck diving for days, wearing set after set as a hat, and you couldn't sit up on your board or you would vanish, exit stage right as in no time at all. So it was really hard work. There was lots of water moving around. It kept things pretty interesting though. It kept the lineup turning over, meant that even with a bit of a crowd you could get waves, and the incentive is definitely there to catch rights, because that just pushes you further out against the sweep. But yeah, if you went left, all of a sudden you were in the big hole. You had to run the gauntlet to get back out to some clean water. And things got a little bit tough in there. We saw something like 15 to 20 longboards broken throughout the duration of the World Longboarding Champs. And I don't know if you've picked up a longboard lately. They are pretty heavily glassed. They're strong beasts. But yeah, the surfers were having to decide whether to duck dive and risk having them break under their belly, which happened a few times. Guys broke boards mid-duck dive. Or go the Eskimo roll. We saw guys throwing boards over the top of waves, which seems to me, if you're doing that, you're not in an ideal situation.
Absolutely. Just doing anything they could to avoid that impact zone, landing straight on top of their board. That was pretty much a guaranteed snap at this stage. With this much power in the water, and the power man is back in action. Kehu Butler slashing his way through those first two turns. One more, and coming through to the inside, just connecting the dots so well. This is so exciting. I love watching power surfing, and what Kehu Butler is bringing to the table today is really, really great stuff. Yeah, and it's a point of difference. A lot of the surfers these days are more of the finesse type guys who get that finner going, throw the air reverse, and then we see Kehu come back. A bit of a throwback to the old school power game, and just driving his board through some turns. I'd imagine he's got a fair bit of foam underfoot. He is a big hunk of a lad, and the results of mixing speed and a big surfboard and driving them all into turns is you throw buckets of water, and that's what Kehu is doing in this heat. He's only caught the 4 waves, but they've been 4 pretty good ones. He's throwing away a 6.63 at the moment. One more score to come. Here goes Roy Kanazawa. A long way out on the face. That was kind of halfway between a cutback and a top turn, so not going to bank a massive amount of points. Now he's eyeing off a section. What's he going to do now? Goes the big sort of one-footed layback, and again he got caught between two minds there, whether he was going to go the full layback or just try and drive that one underfoot, and that's not going to be a wave that he'll want to watch the replay of, I don't think. 8 minutes 20 to go. Let's have a look at what the last score for Kehu Butler comes in at. Anything above a 7.17 will extend his lead, and I think it might go close. Certainly agree. So 8 minutes on the clock. Coming up in our next heat, we have Eduardo Mota from Brazil and Keilani Rivero from Hawaii. So some big names in our next heat as we're waiting for scores to come through from that last exchange. Kehu Butler very well may be increasing his lead, and he does, dropping an excellent score of an 8.30, putting some major pressure and Rio back into a combination situation of 15.73.
Yep, so Roy Kanazawa down into combo land once again. Kehu Butler an 8.3 up into the excellent range. We haven't troubled the excellent range in a little while. And pair that with a 7.43, a very handsome 15.73 two-wave total. And you sort of get the feeling that Kehu Butler's just getting started, really laying it on rail. Love that little bit of tail drift down the end as well. Found a nice section. This was kind of a check turn to set up for some major damage done here. releases the tail, good bit of flair through that one, and just fluently, seamlessly from turn to turn, gets out of there, and nicely done. Best wave of the heat so far. So Keo Butler, his timing is run to perfection through this heat, and he's not done yet. He's having a look at another wave. He's deep in the lineup. He's going to come from behind the section, up into it, sides away at that shoulder. So the first turn dislodging plenty of water, and Keo is feeling it right now. 6 minutes 30 to go.
Wow, this is an amazing heat. One of the highest heat totals that we have seen today coming from our men's division. We saw some excellent surfing from the girls early on in cleaner, crisper conditions, but with this little bit of wind, these guys are just attacking it. Another score to come through for the Kiwi. Roy Kanazawa with a lot to answer for as we see this replay now from red. The Kiwi driving that back foot in, and that second one loving the body placement, staying really low, smaller wave, staying nice and controlled and composed, putting so much power on the line, matching that criteria, the speed power flow that we are looking for, that our judges are paying close attention to. And I love seeing that power surfing and seeing it done with so much ease. He's putting all his effort into it, but he just makes it look like this is what he does in his sleep.
Yep, well, Keo is our first surfer in round 2 to go up into the excellent range. And he's backing that up with a 7.43 at the moment. He still has a score to drop in. So we're going to sneak down towards the 5-minute mark right now. Keo Butler, I mean, it could be best 5 waves at the moment and he'd still be doing it very, very nicely. So this is a fantastic heat.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
That is Kalani Rivero in blue, making his way out for his next heat with Eduardo Mota. So Eduardo, the Brazilian, up against Kalani from Hawaii. 4 minutes 40 to go, and Roy Kanazawa, the Japanese surfer, has priority. He wants to get a wriggle on though. He's got 4.5 minutes to get 2 waves that total 15.73. And that's before this next score drops in for Keo Butler. And there it is, a 7.87. So again, upgrading his score. Keo now with a 16.17 2-wave total. A very, very handsome scoreline indeed. I'm just having a quick look through. I think this might be the best men's heat of the event so far. It definitely is. So Keo Butler, he's throwing away 2 7s and a 6, doing it very nicely with 4 minutes to go.
Fantastic. Just shy of the highest heat total of the event so far, coming from Alyssa Spencer from Southern California. Carlsbad dropped a 17.03 heat total yesterday because she got that 9-point ride. As we see Kehu just lining this one up, eyeing up, gaining some speed, goes into the air, shows that he is not only powerful but progressive in putting everything on the line. He doesn't need to be doing that at this stage. He's well and truly has Rio in combination situation of 16.17, but I like that he's testing the limits.
Yep, I don't know if he's testing the limits or just trying out new things. Of course, he's going to be surfing a variety of conditions here this week. With that little wind up the face, he'd obviously be thinking right about now that he comfortably has this one in the bag, and as soon as you saw him stand on the tail and do that little kick stall, you're like, all right, he's looking at a ramp down the line now. And whether he was looking to bank a score or just test his wings in the Jinzun Harbour cross-shore breeze that comes up the face of that right-hander. I reckon that was a bit of a tactical manoeuvre, just some getting in some game simulation practice. Here goes Roy Kanazawa, needing to get his campaign back on track. It's all one-way traffic so far, as with his 6th wave, Keo finally misfires and doesn't go 6 or above. This is a nice wave for Roy. He wants it to be above a 6.17 to break himself out of the combination. I don't know.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough. I like what you're saying about Kehu's attack there, though, is that he's now he's had about maybe 6 minutes to just play with things, which means he could probably link in a good 3 waves and just start practicing for those next rounds coming up. as we see Roy smashing that first turn. Nice open face carve on the second one. You can see that wave has a little bit of texture on it. That high tide would be pushing now. You get a little bit more of that backwash in the mix. So he's keeping his speed, his flow all down as he comes through to the inside. But he is looking for a huge couple of scores in order to touch the highest heat total of the men's division so far.
Yeah, 90 seconds to go. Ko Butler with an 8.3 and a 7.17. Definitely sending a message to the rest of the field that he is here and he means business. A lot of the competitors would have been long gone from the beach yesterday by the time he surfed in the last heat of the day. And after narrowly being defeated by Cade Matson, he has decided it's time to shake things up a little bit in his round 2 encounter with Roy Kanazawa. Here he goes again. This will be his 8th, and you'd imagine final wave holds his rail for an age through that turn. I love just how whippy he is through all of these. Releases the tail, lays back and stays back, so that's going to be another minus score for Kau. 50 seconds to go.
So really nice afternoon here in Taiwan. That wind is starting to just cool down the temperature a little bit, which I think everyone on the beach is pretty thankful for. You can see that sunshine peeking through the clouds just enough as we check this replay from Kehu.
Yep, last score for Roy Kanazawa is a 4.37. Goes into his top 2. Does not break him out of the combination. And, well, Kehu got a 5.4 for this one, which makes you wonder where it might have gone had he signed off on his feet. Really powerful rail work on display from the Kiwi. And then gets funky down the end. Disconnected from his board, and he goes down. His hopes do not. He is soaring through to the next round. Commiserations to Roy Kanazawa, who bows out. But Ko Butler sending a message to the field here at the World Junior Championships. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back with Heat 6 here at the Taiwan Open of Surfing. Eduardo Mota and Kalani Rivero coming our way right after this.
在台九线长长道路上，一旁就是那无尽的海洋。
台东 Start 旅行是一场灵感的捉迷藏。
台东是个美丽的地方，也是个很真实的地方。一起来寻找新的方向。台东 Start。
Welcome back to the action. We are at the WSL World Junior Championships in Jinsun Harbor, Taidong, Taiwan. My name is Shannon Hughes. I am joined in the booth by Brad Bricknell. Brad, we just saw Kehu Butler drop the highest heat total of the men's division so far. It is going to be an exciting afternoon of surfing as we wrap up round 2.
Yeah, he's definitely shot a signal, put up a flare for the rest of the contestants in this event. With that performance, of course, he bowed out early of round 1. And definitely retribution this afternoon from Kehu Butler. Love the power and the approach that he brings, and he certainly, like I said, he's stated his intentions clear as we see the opening waves here. Eduardo Moto, a 6.67 for this tail air reverse, stomping that one nice and cleanly. One manoeuvre for the 6.67, and Shannon, that wind coming into play this afternoon, that means the areas are coming into play, which means we should be seeing bigger scores all afternoon. I'm excited.
Really excited to see that come into the mix. Out in the lineup, we have Eduardo Mata from Brazil up against Keilani Rivero from Hawaii. But before we get back to live action, we're going to go down to the beach and hear from the powerful Kiwi down on the beach with Benzie.
Thanks a lot, Shannon. Yep, he's trying to tell me that he was nervous in that heat, but you didn't look it at all, mate. You just didn't put a foot wrong that whole heat. Every wave seemed to be a good one and better than the previous one.
I was super nervous before my heat. I was just trying to focus on where the waves were breaking. Like in the heat before, it looked pretty tricky. The boys are paddling everywhere, so I was just trying to focus on pretty much just getting on the waves, and then from then on, just pretty much just do it. Yeah.
It's an interesting wave here. There's a lot of waves that come in, but there's definitely pulses where it's good for a heat or two, and then it turns off for a heat or two. You're lucky to be on the right side of one of those pulses this time.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely lucky. Stoked that the heats are like 30 minutes, so you can, all you really need is 2 good waves. So I just try to catch pretty much good waves, and whatever wave had like the first hit section or big calf section, then pretty much go for it and just build from there. So yeah, I was stoked to get heaps of waves in the heat.
It's not your first time here at the World Juniors, but you seem to have a lot more confidence about your game. Do you dig deep knowing that you won the Aussie Pro or the Australasian Pro Junior Series, and knowing that you've got these big results in you if need be?
Yeah, I've just been working real hard lately, and been training heaps in Oz, and there's so many good surfers in Australia. Like, you can go out to Eddie Beachy and there'll be like someone like Mick Fanning on the Gold Coast or Parko out there. So you're always pushing your limit every surf out there. So I've just been trying to surf around the best and build myself from there. And
Well, you don't look like you belong in round 2, mate. So I'm glad that you went through to round 3, and good luck going deeper on into the draw.
Cheers, thank you.
All right, back up to you guys in the box.
Thanks so much. Great insight from the Kiwi. Kehu Butler just smashing his way through that last heat, spending time on the Gold Coast, loving what he was able to do on the Australasia Junior Tour this year, taking the win in the most prestigious probably tour for the juniors in the world, and just holding it down for the Kiwis.
And he also gets the award for the best accent in the draw as well. Love the Kiwis.
Absolutely love it. Have to love every Kiwi that we have around. Love that there's now Paige Harrop and Ricardo Christie requalified for the championship tour. I've got family and some of my closest friends in New Zealand, so I always love hearing that accent. And here we go with live action. Eduardo Mota answering on his backhand. So just caught up a little bit behind those sections, put some power into it, but isn't able to find a really clean face. Keilani Rivero also had a wave at the same time, so we'll wait for that replay and give you a situation update.
Yeah, looks like Eduardo Moto has got the mojo in this heat. Certainly opened up with that 6.67, and now we're having a look at Keilani Rivero. His first wave of 1.17. We'll see what happened over here. I'm assuming he went to the air and did. Unfortunately, just couldn't get enough height for that type of rotation. And then, of course, Mota locked in a 3.50 on this one. Nice and snappy over the top section here for the Brazilian. And just a second tag on that section. He gets out because not much on offer down the line. But certainly that 6.67 has drawn a line in the sand for this heat, Shannon.
Absolutely. So things are getting tight in the lineup. It is currently 1:15 p.m. We have been running since about 7:30 this morning. We started half an hour behind what we did yesterday for the sake of the sunshine. It's a little bit bright in the mornings when there's no cloud cover on the horizon, and it's really difficult to see through the sun to who our competitors are in the lineup, especially for the judges, because they have to stare at the ocean all day long. And it's a little bit difficult on the eyes, so we started a few minutes later just to let that sun peak right above the horizon and be a little bit softer on the eyes. And we're really thankful for that little bit of cloud cover that's come through in the southeast little area of Taiwan that we're in. They call this the rural area of the country, and there are some great little towns dotting the coastline, a lot of good surf culture coming alive on the east coast of Taiwan, and we're really happy to be here.
Yeah, so true. That sun in the morning has been a little bit of an issue, but with the later start today, we have got that now well and truly behind us. We do have the wind come up, which is not an issue, particularly if you're eyeing out these right-handers. Plenty of ramp sections on offer here this afternoon. We see Eduardo Mota has already taken to the air, and just taking a quick look at his bio, he's got surfers, you'd say probably the old school, the older generation, Joel Parkinson, Kelly Slater, and Adriano de Souza, his inspiration. And, well, not bad role models, of course, being a Brazilian, de Souza being one of the pioneers of professional surfing out of Brazil. And what a great story he has, coming from the favelas to reaching his goals as a world champion for Brazil. So Eduardo Mota surely will be looking to emulate his fellow countrymen, as we see. It looks like Justin Becquet from France getting ready for his next heat. Coming up next, he'll be surfing against a man from Japan, Toi Tanaka.
All right, so exciting things in the mix as we see a little bit of action potentially on our screen. Surfer in red is sitting with priority, and he is going to take off. He's looking right, slides right past his fellow competitor, launches into the air.
Goes for the big corrupt flip. He just couldn't get the grab. It's one of those things you have to do on those kind of flips, as we see now, live action.
So little bounce off the lip on that one. Gets a stronger turn on the second, but just knows that wave's not going to come together. He lost some momentum right at the start of that wave. He's looking to build momentum as he goes through turns, not lose momentum. So great decision to kick out and get back into the lineup.
Yeah, that's so true. And just again, we are, well, Eduardo Mota has certainly made his intentions clear. Again, going to the air on that wave. I'd love to see that one again. You can see he telegraphed that one right from the start. He had a nice big chunky wall ahead of him, and you'll see here he's looking for the section that he can take off. Now he gets the decision to make what kind of air he goes for the corrupt flip, gets the grab in, but unfortunately his hands just disconnect there, and he can't pull that board back out underneath his feet to find that exit, that landing that is so critical in those flip turns. Of course, we saw Gabriel Medina pulling off a few of those in the wave pool at the Lemoore event, the Surf Range Pro earlier on this year.
Absolutely. What an exciting event that was to watch, and to see where wave technology has come, and just to see what the guys and girls were bringing to the table from that kind of traditional approach of looking for those barrels and those big carves, and then bringing in the aerials. As we see, our surfer in blue, Rivero, goes for the air as well. So it seems like this is going to be a battle of who can get the best height and who can land those maneuvers.
Let's hope so. Obviously you got to surf to the conditions, and we've certainly seen a lot of variety earlier on in the day. Some big rail work and some carve work being done from the girls this morning, and then as we sort of transition into this afternoon, you can see now the texture well and truly into the right-handers over here. And now those ramp sections are coming into play, and these two are great proponents of aerial surfing.
So driving, nice big carve out on the open face, kind of more of a snap than a real proper carve. Goes in for the second one, lets those fins just release down the face of that wave, goes totally vertical on that last snap, and a clean kick out. So reads that wave well.
He did. I felt like he was maybe looking for that aerial maneuver again, and maybe wasted a couple of opportunities. He's almost stalling his board and looking for that ramp section to pop up, and when it didn't, then he realized, okay, I've got to go back to some traditional surfing over here, and he did definitely punch in one amazing turn on the inside. Let's have a look at this one again. You can see he's looking down the line. Yeah, where's the air section going to come? It's not over here because the wave's quite flat, so he starts to kind of wind up for some speed, looking for it again. No, it's not going to come. What do I do? I've got to cut back and try to get back to that power section. Now it stands up, gets the board up and over, nice and vertical on that crack, gets the tail loose for a 4.23, goes into his top two.
Absolutely. Certainly what he was looking for was those errors, had to adjust, which potentially lost some of that scoring potential, landing him just with a 4.
Having said that though, Shannon, sorry to interrupt, that wave was pretty flat up the beginning of it too, so regardless of whether he was trying to find a ramp section or not, I feel like he probably the one section that was there, he took advantage of. The one stand-up section took advantage of. Yeah, I think probably nothing really lost out of that thing, although I think probably from an aesthetic point of view, certainly it would have looked a lot better if he just rode that wave as if there was never going to be an air section.
Absolutely. So he is sitting in the lead, though, Eduardo Mota from Brazil, in first with a 6.67 and a 4.23, and Keilani Rivero from Hawaii sitting with just a 2.6 and a 1.17. His requirement an excellent 8.3. So 17 minutes remaining on the clock, which means we're just about halfway, and Keilani really hasn't found any score that will keep him in the mix with what's going on. So he really needs to reset the clock.
Yeah, good thing for him though, he has priority now and the time on his side, as you said, still around 17 minutes remaining for Rivero. And likewise for Mota, you'd think that 4.23 in his scoreline there will be something that won't be coming into the mix come the end of the heat as far as his hopes are concerned. And of course Rivero really looking to drop both those scores at this point in time. And although he needs an 8.30, he can get that on one wave. It's really about building a substantial two-wave total for him right now. But you can do that in baby steps, one wave at a time.
Absolutely, and that's definitely the way they need to approach it. One wave at a time, one heat at a time, and just continue building as they go throughout this event. A few guys getting ready for maybe some heats later on coming up. We still have quite a few heats to go. We are in heat number 6, which means we're halfway through this round, just about. We still have 6 more heats to run today. So it will be a later afternoon maybe than what we had yesterday, given that we had that little bit of a later start. And we'll be looking to jump in the water as soon as we're done.
You know it, I'll be in my board shorts for that last heat of the day, ready to roll out of here and just dust off the day. Of course, it's been 2 days back to back here for the WSL World Juniors, and I think this is what the surfers want. Those lay days can kind of mess with your rhythm, can mess with your consistency. So anytime you can string 2 or 3 days together is always a good thing, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and I'm sure we're going to see another big day of surfing tomorrow, as will be Wednesday. There is some bigger forecast expected for the weekend, but we're definitely not going to be lacking any swell before then as it continues to build. 15 minutes on the clock. Surfer in blue sitting with priority.
Yeah, I think if my maths is correct, Shannon, after this round's complete, we'll have 12.5 hours to finish the men's and 6.5 hours to finish the girls. So what's that? 19 hours. So we can't do that in one day. But,
could do that in 2 days.
2 days we can do that. 2 big days.
2 very big days if need be.
And 2.5 days potentially. So still a waiting period goes all the way through, as we see now live pictures up and riding.
And our surfer in blue throws those fins out, goes for the layback, gains some speed coming out of it, throws the reverse, lands the finish. So he's putting some combination surfing together and putting himself back in the mix.
Yeah, Rivero just finding a little inside section over there to work with. He did well with what he had to play with. And looks like Mota will pull the trigger now on the outside. We'll come back to that replay in a second.
So driving down the line, little floater, decides that wave's not going to give him what he needs. He will probably get back into the lineup with priority and the replay.
Let's have a look at this one, wave number 4. Nice little snap out the gate. So lost a little bit of control there, but maintained it on the layback and then goes into the big fin ditch. Nice little air reverse. He rides out cleanly of that second turn, and it will be his best score that he locks down the surfer from Hawaii. I think it is Kalani Rivero.
So waiting for that score to drop through. Last of Eduardo Mota, just a 0.93 was that clean kick out. And he is sitting out the back with priority. He started out with that 6.67, which is a great start to one of these heats. These round 2 heats, we saw our highest heat total of the event on the men's side of the draw come from Kehu Butler in that previous one. But we have seen the highest heat total of the event on the women's side of things. Alyssa Spencer from Carlsbad, California, dropped a 17.3 heat total, and that will give her heaps of confidence moving into round 3 tomorrow.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And of course, we saw Samantha Sibley today just get the second highest scoring single wave of the girls' event, a 9-point ride. To see more live action. Here goes Kalani.
So nice little check off the top, driving back into that foam pocket, and decides to kick out. That wave goes a little bit of wonky on the inside, doesn't stand up for him, so we can definitely tell those conditions are different than what we had today. That wind coming into factor, a little bit more of that high tide, putting more water over the rocks as well. You can see that kind of shifting around.
Yeah, here we go. Just a little click turn on the outside for Rivero. This wave then fattens out in that midsection, and all the energy drains out of it, and therefore the speed does too, and that's why he kicks out of that one early. 2.67, that's paired up with his 4.73, means his total heat score is 7.4, still requires 6.18 to go into the lead, and some beautiful lines coming in now. Wind affected, but that just means there's going to be ramp opportunities here for Eduardo, but not sure, Shannon, he's going to get onto this one.
So look at that set out the back. 2 massive waves and a third one on the horizon. We'll see if anyone's in position. Kehlani definitely out of position. It doesn't look like Eduardo. Over to the right-hand side of the screen, he's going to paddle over that shoulder knowing that it's real frothy. It's not going to be one of those clean waves coming through. And he may be looking for the left, though, being that he's sitting that far down. You saw a little fish jump, a few fish in the water. And just a beautiful little area that we're sitting in, actually, this fishing harbor at Jinsoon Harbor. Just looking out our window from where Brad and I are currently sitting. There is this lovely little bay. There's a nice little kind of breakwater wall that runs out and a small wave that runs right inside the harbor, which is really good when the conditions get really big and messy. That tends to stay a little bit cleaner and smaller. Great for longboarding on most days, but nice and punchy on the takeoff, so a few barrels on offer as well.
Sounds good to me. And of course, we saw that big set there. I am wondering whether this is the first signs of that forecast increase we were meant to see late this afternoon. But meanwhile, let's pay attention to this one.
So driving down the line, he's looking for that big opening maneuver, and he goes for it. Throws in the second one. Love that layback.
Hold on to it. He's got to ride out cleanly, and judges will now deem that wave complete, I would think.
Well, nearly identical maneuvers going back-to-back between Eduardo and Keilani. I love what I'm seeing in the water.
Yeah, we'll take another look at that one from Eduardo. I love the spray on his board. It almost makes those turns look a lot more dramatic, especially when he gets it onto the rail like that and all that spray gets kicked off the outside rail. So Eduardo Moto showing that he's not only an aerialist, he's got some power to throw in with it, and that's going to really hold him in good stead as he progresses throughout this event. Should he get out of this heat, to win this event, you're going to have to surf all these kind of conditions, throw progression in there, but also show that you can mix it up with those big rail turns as well. So we'll talk you through that one in a second.
Absolutely, and of course, board sprays always come into play. If your board has a good spray, you're bound to surf better and get higher scores.
Go way faster with a red board
too.
too.
Way faster. You get flames on the board, flames on the sleeves of your wetsuit. You'll paddle faster.
Here we go. So a lot of speed built up to this one. Nice power turn. Just jams that back foot for a bit of tail release. This is a big turn. Throws everything at it. Lays back into the white water. Fins get the drift, and then he's got to hold on with those two back arms trailing into the white water. And he does ride out cleanly on that one. Let's have a look at this one on the slow-mo. You can see now this is that first turn. Jams it in the pocket. You see that back foot now releasing. And now he'll readjust. He'll double pump this bottom turn. Look for the opportunity where he wants to hit it. There it is. Throws that back foot out. You see his back foot disconnects from the tail pad. He's got to hold on with all his might with those two back arms. And now his job is just to hold on to that board. You see the white water trying to gobble him up. And the critical part, is are the judges going to deem that wave ridden out completely? The score will tell us once that drops shortly.
Great surfing from Eduardo Moto. Great core strength to be able to stick on the landing there at the end. I don't know how he was able to stick on the wax and bring his body to that upward position again.
That's a good point, that core strength, and we talk about the cross-training that surfers do, and that's a prime example of why cross-training is so important to surfing. Obviously, surfing itself will build certain muscles, and you'll have all that muscle memory kind of happening around, your time in the water and those maneuvers that you do. But building that core strength, that's where that could come in to play in terms of the difference between making those kind of moves and not. If you've got a six-pack, you're making it. If you don't, like me, you're falling off halfway through it.
Absolutely. No more donuts. Quit the coffee in the morning and start working out instead. So 9 minutes on the clock, waiting for that big score to come through. Well, we'll see what the judges think. I think it was excellent, and there it is.
Yeah, 8.17. So deserved surfing there, deserved score, should I say, from the Brazilian motor. 8.17, two-turn combination, and a beautiful mix of surfing there. Back foot surfing on that first turn, drifting the tail, then throwing everything at that last turn. Here's live action.
So Keilani, huge requirement on his hands now. Combination situation, can he get himself out? Two big check turns to start off with. Just racing through, but not really able to unleash anything with a lot of pizzazz and power to get up into those excellent scores. He's still racing through to the inside, though, puts the finishing touches on, so clean surfing, but lacking a little bit of that kind of energy with it.
Yeah, he just missed an opportunity to really punctuate that way with that last maneuver there. Did Keilani. He's such a character. He came out of a free surf earlier on when I just finished the post-heat interview and goes, "Hey mate, I just think I won my free surf. Can I get an interview?" And just a really cool guy, super bubbly, and always got a smile on his face. But he's certainly up against it now, staring down the barrel of a 14.84 combination. And let's see what that last wave brings for Rivera. It was probably going to be, could say his best wave. A 4.73 is his highest score up until this point in time.
Absolutely. As we see this replay, talk us through
let's have a look at what happened. Smaller inside wave. Nice little projection down the line. You can see he's always aiming down the line. A lot of speed and flow throughout. That was a nice turn here, and hopefully this is where he could just put the big punctuation on the end, and this section now will start to rebound towards him. And he just maybe gets a little bit lazy on that last turn. And now looking at this score again, this is the 8.17. This is where he throws the kitchen sink. He disconnects from his board, holds on though, and you wouldn't know it watching that in real time. And an incredible display of power surfing there from our Brazilian surfer.
Fantastic. So 4.3 dropped for last of Keilani Rivera, the Hawaiian in the lineup. So still sitting in the same situation with a combination of 14.84 required to tie with Eduardo Mota. If that were to happen and it were an actual tie, it would go back to the highest wave score. So if Keilani Rivera can get 2 fresh scores on the board, he's got 6.5 minutes. It's definitely possible, but it's going to be difficult. We can see our guys getting ready to go in the next heat. A little bit of breathing technique and just probably playing into that mental game as well, just kind of resetting before hitting the lineup.
Yeah, that's right. Every surfer has a different approach that they use to prepare for these heats. We see someone like Mick Fanning gets the earphones on and he gets into the eye of the tiger kind of mode. And some guys like to keep it loose and keep it happy. And some guys will obviously go through a full routine, almost superstitiously going through those heats. I remember when I was competing, if I started getting on a roll, I would try and do everything the same as the last heat. I would fold my clothes up in the same order, put them on the same spot, and try and keep the dream alive that way. Of course, it had absolutely no bearing on how the heats panned out, but you do what you have to do to try to get your mind in the right frame.
Absolutely, and I definitely agree with that, getting the mind in the right frame. If you've got that confidence going into it and you're feeling good, then there's definitely the chance that it could show forth in your surfing, rather than kind of getting down on yourself, questioning your ability, questioning who you're going up against. Almost better to forget about who your competitor is, focus on what you need to do, and bring it to show why, especially for these juniors, they are in the running to win a junior world title, to put that championship to their name. And with 5 minutes and 30 seconds, every one of our surfers that has been in the draw, men's and women's, is definitely worthy of being here at this event. Would have taken out the regional first or second place in their regional championship tours, junior tours, and then there's a few wild cards thrown in the mix there, but those wild cards also very well deserved, and there's a reason why they've gotten a spot into this event.
Yeah, of course. And then we also have the Taiwanese invites for this event. We had a great chat to Rory McDonald, Pan Hai Singh, who was knocked out in the second round, unfortunately, but just didn't have the opportunities. But a great surfer and a great ambassador for Taiwanese surfing.
Absolutely. I had a quick chat with him after your interview, and he was bummed that he didn't have the opportunity to really get something better on the board for the finish, but he was really proud of his performance. He nearly took down the #1 seed for this event, which is really just an excellent showdown from a wild card in an event of this magnitude.
Yeah, that's right. Joe Azuchi in that heat actually left him with about 100 meters of space. Azuchi had priority, and for the last 6 or 8 minutes he completely left Pan alone, which even he was quite surprised about. So he knew that the opportunity was there. Unfortunately, he just couldn't find the wave to make it happen. But certainly Eduardo Mota has found the magic out here. 8.17 and a 6.67. Pretty solid heat score for him. Rivera requiring that combination of scores. And we've still got 4 minutes remaining. I'd love to see some more progression being thrown down here from Mota now that he has this combination situation on his hands.
Absolutely. And in yesterday's heat for round 1, Eduardo was up against Luke Thompson from South Africa and Callum Robson from Australia. So Callum just won the previous heat from Oz. Luke Thompson will be coming up later tomorrow.
Yep,
because he won that heat. That was a tight one. Luke was sitting in that third place knockout kind of position for the majority of the heat, and he managed to reset within those last 10 minutes, and he got 2 solid scores on the board and showed that he was able to attack that at the end, which was great to see. He jumped into the lead, which bumped our surfer in red, who was Callum Robson, down into second, and then Eduardo Mota into third, but he has come back fighting today, dropping that 8.17.
Yeah, certainly has, and of course we found out that Luke Thompson's only 14 years of age, and showing that sort of poise under pressure in that last half of the heat, a real testament to his mental fortitude, and great to see him here giving a great account of himself in his very first World Junior Surfing Championships here from Taitung. And here we go, live pictures, Keilani Rivera.
So driving down the line, trying to gain some speed. Quick little tap under the lip, but nothing exciting being thrown in the mix there. 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Still time for him to get to the back and try again.
Yeah, just playing to his character there. You can see it was nothing much on offer. He just doesn't get that entry point right going into that turn, and he just admitted defeat there, and just a bit of fun to finish off that way. It's not going to go into his top two. He's still requiring a big combination of scores to take out Mota, who's opened up with a 6.67, a big air reverse rotation, and then he's backed it up with some power surfing, a two-turn drop hammer for an 8.17, has put on a significant and well, hopefully not an insurmountable totally if you Johnny Kalani Riviero's in his camp. But if you're Mota, this next 2 minutes can go down very quickly without another wave ridden. He'll be very happy.
So 2 minutes to go. Coming up in our next heat, we have Justin Becret from France and Toi Tanaka from Japan. Toi translated for an interview with one of his female competitors on his team yesterday, and it was just really fun to get that dynamic going between the two. His English was absolutely fantastic, representing Japan. Sounded like he might have been from Australia. I didn't actually get to chat to him for where he's spending some time. But it's really good to see that team dynamic coming into play. As we see Keilani just flying through this section, having a bit of fun here, throws those fins out the back, doesn't ride out of it, but he's putting what he can into the mix.
Yeah, it's the right strategy from Riviero. You know, he's obviously his fellow competitor, the heat leader, has priority. And the best thing that Riviero can do, particularly with only a minute to go, is to stay as busy as he can. But it looks like he is going to admit defeat in this one. He's going to make his way in and call it a day. He'll walk away with $1,000 in his back pocket, as well as equal 25th for the 2018 edition of the WSL World Junior Champs.
Not too bad. A little bit of cash for knocking out as the bottom seed, unfortunately, but he'll be looking for a comeback, I'm sure, next year. Not sure how old Keilani Rivera is, but there is a very good chance that he will be in the mix for the 2019 World Junior Championships.
There we go, 40 seconds remaining. Eduardo Moto from Brazil qualified, of course, through the South American region. A lot of Peruvians also qualified through that region. Samuel Pupo, the other Brazilian who qualified in South America from Brazil. And then we also had Catalina Messeray, of course, on the girls' side. And then Raul Danino, Johnny Aguero, and Sol Aguirre from Peru, as we see live action.
All right, so throws the fins out the back, continues with some, just kind of looking to gain some momentum, kind of a cruisy approach, but now he turns it on. Tries for the varial.
Yeah, that was another one. We've been talking about this all day long since the one we saw yesterday. As that heat winds down, a little varial or big spin. This is on his backside though, so a little bit more technicality goes into it there. Didn't land it, so we're not going to have to talk about it too much as that heat winds down, and it'll be Moto going through to the third round.
Story. Powerful.
Heavy. Legendary.
Deadly.
Definitive.
Welcome back to the Taiwan Open of Surfing. This is Heat 7 Round 2 World Junior Championship action. We have one side of the draw in the water, Justin Becqueret from France up against Toi Tanaka from Japan. And it is Toi with a 177 who is our early heat leader. Crispian's in the booth alongside Brad Brignall. And we just saw a pretty decent performance in that last heat from Eduardo Motta.
Yeah, he did. He loved the wind coming into these right-handers. Big 6.67 on his opening wave for a big air. It looks like Justin Becqueret here opened up with a 5.77, decides to go left. Beautiful fantail off that second manoeuvre, and his third looking nice and loose and smooth on his opening wave over here. He also gets a nice tag to finish off that wave. Not too many left-handers we've seen this afternoon, but that was a good one from Becqueret at 5.77.
Yep, I was wondering who the French kid was that I dropped in on earlier during one of my research sessions, and there you go, Justin Becqueret. So he is the European number 3. Apologies for ruining his practice surf earlier. And just while we wait for that first score, well, in fact, there it is, a 5.77 to give him the heat lead. And the guy who just finished the last heat in the lead is down with Shannon Hughes.
Thanks so much, Eduardo. Congratulations for smashing that last heat. Your 8.17 was so sick, that drop wallet on the end. Talk us through it and what was, your mindset going into that wave.
Thank you. I'm so happy we made that hit, and my wave was so sick. Was smaller, but was super sick. And when I drop it, I'm gonna smash that shit. And yeah, I'm so happy we made that hit and last to the round 3.
Awesome. And what kind of preparation have you put in behind the scenes coming into this event?
I'm so motivation and for this event and so focused. It's so important to me, and yeah, let's do it.
Great. And talk us through what your equipment is for this contest.
My board is at 5'9", and I always surf with that board. It's a really, really good board, and yeah.
Great. So riding Old Faithful, and is there anyone back home in Brazil that you'd like to say hi to before we say goodbye?
Obrigado a todos que passaram essa madrugada assistindo no Brasil, e é isso. Vamos que vamos. Vamos pro próximo round.
Well done, Eduardo. Looking very comfortable on his Old Faithful, throwing those drop wallets. We'll look forward to seeing you in round 3 and go back to you guys for live action.
Obrigado, Shannon. There it is, Eduardo Motta through in Heat 6, a 14.84 total. His board changed colour. It went from fluoro orange and brown, maybe, to the clear white edition we saw on the stage just then. A lot of hooting and hollering from downstairs as we see Justin Becqueret take off on his second wave. He's dropped in a 5.77 for his opener.
Yeah, take a look at this one in a second. Looks like he went left again, Benzi, so a 5.77 opener. And looking to lock in his wave number 2 from a score point of view. Tanaka, on the other hand, a pair of 1.77 and a 0.67 for the Japanese surfer. He's up and back with priority. And we'll take a look at this left-hander shortly from Becqueret. His second wave, of course, top 2 waves counting. So once you get those 2 waves a piece from the service, you get some real context to those numbers. The wind certainly has puffed up now from the north this afternoon, but we've seen the right-handers providing a few incredible ramp sections, as illustrated by the winner of that last heat, Eduardo Motta. 6.67 he got for a beautiful tail air reverse, and then he backed it up with an 8.17 for 2 huge power hacks on a beautiful right-hander. So nailing down that win, and 5.33 in now for Justin Becqueret. So a pair of 5s, 5.3 and a 5.7 puts him into an early lead.
Yep, so unfortunately we say goodbye to Kalani Rivero, who just went down to Eduardo Motta. He won't be bummed at all. He's
a funny kid.
He's been twitchy all week because he knows that there's so many waves strafing the Hawaiian Islands at the moment, and it's almost like he's got one eye on the conditions here and one eye on the forecast back home. And as the North Shore comes alive for the Triple Crown, Kalani will take solace from his defeat in knowing that he's going home, and will probably run into a string of back-to-back-to-back swells. Speaking of back-to-back, we saw Eduardo go the big layback on one wave, and then he would have stood back up out of that one and seen Kalani go the same, almost facsimile manoeuvre on the wave behind. Unfortunately, Kalani couldn't come out of his, and you feel like that's one of those exchanges that really swung the balance in the favour of Motto.
Yeah, the 817 shut the door, absolutely put our surfer from Hawaii into that combination situation, and never quite recovered from that one. And Becret now with their second priority leaves Tanaka with the opportunity. 933 requirement. You can see on the screen there just very small scores from Toi Tanaka. And just mid-range good scores here for Justin Becret. And we do see some lines. That forecast was due to see a little jump in the swell this afternoon. 3 to 4 foot conditions this morning, 3 to 5 foot this afternoon. And with a little bit of this northerly wind texture, as we hear whistles out the front, meaning there must be something coming, Lindsay.
Yeah, Toi Tanaka is in the field courtesy of a WSL wildcard. There are 4 surfers already picked from the Asian region. He came 5th, so you'd assume that WSL's just included him on the strength of that. And we see him, that's going to be his 3rd wave. Again, not too significant. Justin Becquerel with a 5.33 and a 5.77, doing all of the early front running as that cross-shore breeze continues to grow in strength. So here's Toi. This is going to be a 2.43, or was that live action?
That was live action. He's just on the way back out in that deep water right-hand section, but he just picked up a quick in and out, and it's been the story of the heat so far for the first 9 minutes. He's locked in a couple of better scores than those last 2 ones though. 2.43 and a 2.57 replaces the 1.77 and the 0.67, so he's heading in the right direction. He's still got some work to do though. If he wants to get into the lead, an 8.53 will get him there on one wave, but he'll surely be looking to drop those 2 scores come the end of the heat.
Yep, you don't need to be a mathematician to know that a pair of 5s beats a pair of 2s, but not yet 10 minutes scrubbed off the clock. Plenty of time remaining in this heat. It's the Frenchman Justin Becquerel who is in pole position with that pair of 5s.
2.43 and 2.57. In the second place, Blue looking for 8.53.
Head to this forecast. There's been a lot of talk about this swell and weather coming for the last 2 or 3 days of the event period. Some wind forecast tomorrow, but similar size surf from what we understand. And then we wait for the bomb to come later on this week. Some calculations as far as what's remaining after this, about 19 hours remaining after we get through this heat, so we can't do that obviously in a day. Maybe 2 days at a push, 2.5 days will get the event done for us. So need to pick the eyes out of the forecast once we get down. And obviously the good thing always is coming to events and going back to back, round 1 and round 2 complete for both men's and girls. That's what we will achieve after 2 days of competition here.
Yep, most definitely. So the forecast, well, the swell is about the same tomorrow, but the wind is much stronger. We're looking at about 20 to 25 miles an hour from the northeast. Thursday the wind backs off slightly and the surf is possibly a touch smaller, but with the wind a lot lighter, it's looking like things could be a little bit more favourable on Thursday than Wednesday. Of course, we're going to be coming here very early every morning because consistently throughout the waiting period for both this week and last, when we had the World Longboarders in town, it was always saying it was going to be strong, and most mornings it's been pretty smooth and glassy. As those high tides push later and later, the week will get better earlier, and we'll be trying to squeeze in as much early morning action as possible, I think, to maximise the better tides and the better winds. And yeah, Friday, swell really comes up in the afternoon, but as do the winds. And then Saturday, massive surf, and again, super strong winds. Sunday, it looks enormous. Looking at, it's calling 5 to 8 feet, and knowing what they were calling 4 to 5 feet last week when the longboarders were in town. We had a couple of really big days there with a very high board count. We had about 20 longboards broken in action over the opening few days of the event. You just think that 5 to 8 feet on this guide is going to be really hefty stuff.
Well, the good news is we don't have a shortage of waves. We're not going to have any flat days here. We saw a couple of flat days earlier on in the year over at Kayama at Bumbo Beach. No shortage of swell here in Taiwan for the last Pro Junior event of the year. Crowning world champions here at the end of the week, and it's just a matter of picking the eyes out of that forecast that Chris Benz is talking about. And we'll leave that up to Will Hayden Smith, the event director, of course, at WSL Australasia. And we will just be here every morning, like Benji said, to call it as we see it. Here we go, live action on the outside. Justin Becret up and riding. Big square bottom turn, tags that one nicely. He's had 3 left-handers. I'm surprised he wouldn't have had a look at a couple of those rights that he would have seen Mota take advantage of in the last heat. But 2 little turns on the outside there. One nice one from Becret. 5.33, his low score. Don't think that's going to factor into the equation for him.
No, I don't think so. It was a white, watery wall to start off with. He sort of raced around, and then things get white, watery already. He's a long way behind this one. Has to go up and over. So just the 2 turns. You'll probably see a number come in pretty quickly for the judges as they look to put that one behind them. 16.5 minutes remaining. Yeah. Looking to see where Justin goes whenever he's going to take off on a right. The 4.33 there, the last score in, not going to factor. We saw K.U. Butler a couple of heats ago really tee off on the right. Just didn't put a foot wrong. Couldn't catch a bad wave. Everything he caught was a 5, 6 or a 7.
I was surprised, Benji, with the way you were saying in the beginning of the heat he was lacking a bit of confidence going into that one. Thought he was really nervous going into that. I thought, I didn't hear that, didn't see any of that. And I just said to Shannon, he's sounded with flair in this contest. He's certainly put his name up in lights after a performance like that.
Yeah, he didn't have the strongest outing last year at the World Juniors, so maybe there is just a little bit of confidence when he comes up against some of these bigger international names. But as he said in our interview, possibly the win on the Australasian Pro Junior Series, just helping confirm a little bit of that belief in himself. He knows that he can get the scores when need be, and we just saw an insane performance in his round 2 heat. As I said to him in our post-heat interview, he doesn't belong in round 2, and he righted the wrong of his early loss yesterday and has smashed his way into the last 24 in this event.
Down to that halfway mark now, 15 minutes remaining. Justin Becret still in the lead. He's got second priority, and it looks like it's going to be Tanaka and Justin splitting the peak. Not just Tanaka.
Yeah, well, did Becret sell him that wave? Tanaka takes to the sky, releases the tail. Just the one turn. Wasn't particularly dynamic. It was halfway between an air and a finner reverse. Didn't ride out of it with any great deal of speed or flow. So you imagine that will be another minus score.
Yeah, 8.53 is what he's chasing, Benzi, and a 2.43 is the lowest score he's got in his top 2. So you think that's going to go better. It does around a 3.73. Let's have a look here. Big chunky sections walling up ahead of him. Gets that fin and the tail nice and high in that section, but a little bit clunky in the ride out for the 3.73. So Toi Tanaka now just trying everything he can. Sometimes what you have to do, Benzi, when you're in this little ride, you've got to just ride a lot of waves and just hope something clicks. And once you sort of put the click and some good wave selection together, that's when you see those bigger scores come together.
Yep. Interesting to see there whether or not Justin Becret sold Toi that wave. He definitely had a good look at it. At one point it looked like he might even head left, but in the end decided, you know what, I'm not super into this one. All yours, buddy. And the 3.73 is not going to trouble the Frenchman at all. 13 minutes 45 to go. This is Heat 7, Round 2 of men's side of the Draw World Junior Championships. Up next in Heat 8, Max Elkington from South Africa takes on Dexter Muskins from the Gold Coast of Australia.
2 goofy footers going to go head to head there. Be a great matchup coming up next. Around 13 minutes to go in this one. Becret from France is holding down the lead. 7.37 now the requirement from Tanaka. A little bit of separation between the two of them there, Benzi. We've seen a couple of heats to go down, a few paddle battles where we saw Cole Hausman track down his fellow competitor in that heat to try and close that gap. We also saw Joe Izuchi leaving the door open for Panhai Singh to get a few scores. I know what I'd be doing with priority. I like to make sure that gap is completely closed so that there's no opportunity for your surfer in second to find that score.
Oh, that heat between Cole Hauschman and Raul Danino was a scrappy affair, wasn't it? They had that paddle battle where Cole was just heading straight for the horizon in the takeoff area, and Raul was sort of blocking him and getting in his way, and they were ending up going over the top of each other, and in the end the judges gave Cole the priority call, as we see Toi Tanaka in action right now, racing down the line. And there's his first engagement with the lip. Nothing too explosive so far. Hits that one as the backwash does as well. Rides out of it smoothly. And this one's running down the line. Nice pace to this wave. Nothing massive, but a pretty solid effort from Toi from start to finish on that one.
Yeah, finally some flow there from Tanaka. He eventually found a way that allowed a couple of links through to sections down the line, and he did well to navigate those sections and put in a couple of series of turns through there. We'll break it down again on the replay, but 7.37 is the requirement. He's still holding on to two waves that are under 4 points, so he's got his work cut out for him, but this could be the start of a great comeback for Tanaka. Let's have a look at this one. I like this turn with that backwash hit that you were describing before. This is the first turn. Nice little snap, little jam off the pocket. Here when he goes nice and vertical, gets the fins to come out the back of that wave. Nice little snap. So 3 different turns to start off with, and this is where the link comes on the inside section. He jams down the closing turn, and that's certainly by far the best wave from Tanaka so far. And on the outside it was Justin Becret trying to find a left-hander. He couldn't quite get out onto the open fascia. Always sort of playing behind the 8-ball. And gets a 3.10 as he blows out the back of that wave. Still standing by for that last score off Tanaka.
Yep, 11 minutes to go. This is going to be a pretty important number for the Japanese surfer. Currently he needs a 7.37. I don't think it's gone close to that, but anything around a 5 would very much square the ledger in this heat. Well, he did link together plenty of turns. You think he got that 3.73 for just a couple of quick blasts, so this wave was a lot better.
Yeah, it'll do a lot for his confidence too. You don't want to be riding 4 or 5 waves that are all under 4 points in a sudden death scenario like the second round, and this wave will give him a lot more confidence once that score comes in. And like you said, it might give him the opportunity there to get in a bit more of a striking distance of Justin Becret, who's sitting at the back there with priority. Judges are obviously taking a bit of time on this one, Binzi. They do have the luxury of checking out the replays if they want to. And of course, 5 judges on the panel at any given time. Highest and lowest scores are dropped out. The middle 3 are averaged out, and that'll split out the wave score that could be critical in this exchange.
Yeah, I think there's a few waves I'll be looking at here. The 4.33 from Justin Becret. The last 3.73 of Toy's, and maybe one of Justin's 5s, just to see if it's gone up that high.
Yeah, that's a good point that you raised there, so. The comparisons, Vinzi, because it's one thing to watch the replay over and over again, but what's the context that you've got to score those against, and like you said, benchmarking those against those 4s and 3s and 5s, it will allow the judges to see where does this one sit in comparison. And they are taking their time on this one, so we're bringing that score as soon as it comes through.
Yep, 9.5 minutes to go. Priority is with the Frenchman Becret. Toi Tanaka shadowing him from a distance. He's not right up in his grill, and there it is, a 5.1. So not quite on a par with either of Justin Becret's keepers, but that is definitely Toi Tanaka's best wave. He now needs a 6 with 9 minutes to go.
Yeah, well, that's what he needed. He needed to kind of break the shackles of those sub 4 point rides. The 5.10 has done that for Tanaka. He'll take a bit of confidence out of that, and also great to see from our point of view, seeing what Tanaka's got. We haven't really seen too much of him. He's had a pretty average first round heat, and found himself in the second round. So great to see him here now, starting to open up. And a 6 point ride is the requirement for him to get into first. Absolutely doable for him now that we've seen what he's capable of.
Yep, Toi Tanaka, somewhat of a spectator in the Rio Wider show yesterday. Rio doing a similar job to the one we saw Caleb Butler just do a couple of heats ago. Didn't really put a foot wrong, was throwing away 5s and 6s, and never looked troubled from start to finish. Cole Alves came 3rd in that heat. Toi Tanaka came second. With 8 minutes to go, Toi will not be happy with second in this heat, as it is a winner-takes-all affair. Will Justin Becret advance to round 3, or can Toi Tanaka lock in that 6 that he needs? Both guys sitting shoulder to shoulder right now.
Yeah, well, you can see now the screws are tightened just a little bit. We saw before that last exchange, Becret gave Tanaka a bit of space. He then locked in the 5.11 when he had priority, and now that the requirement's only a 6, you'll see he's padding out, Tanaka is, and Becret's going to follow him. He's going to make sure that he tries to stick to him like glue, so he doesn't really get any opportunity under priority, and that means that Justin Becret can almost control the play if he stays as close as he can to Tanaka.
Yep, 7 minutes 20 to go. Priority is with the red jersey. Traditionally, the red jersey is the top seed, and things have been 100% true to form through this second round. Joe Azuki getting the win over Pan Hai Sin, the local wildcard. Cole Hauschman getting the win in Heat 2. Katut Agus taking the win in Heat 3. Callum Robson doing the honours for the red jerseys in Heat 4. Kyu Butler smashing his way to victory in Heat 5. Very convincing performance against Roy Kanazawa. And in the last heat we saw Eduardo Mota again prevailing for the top seeds. Can Justin Becret keep that trend rolling? We'll know in 6.5 minutes time. Both these guys really keeping an eye on each other. And here goes Justin, having a look at a right this time, throwing plenty of water on his first turn, drives his board through that second one. Open face, third manoeuvre, and he is out of there. Will that go into his top 2 waves in the 5 range, Brad?
Yeah, 5.33 is his lowest one. We'll take another look at that one. His first right-hander in the seat, his wave number 5. I like the transitions between the turns. From from the outset between turn 1 and turn 2 was nice and smooth, didn't lose any speed. Just take a look at this one. Uses priority on this one, squares up off the top. Little snap there to start off with. That's a nice turn. That's the best one of the wave, and gets out onto this open face over here where the wave fattens out a little bit. So 5.33. I think it's probably going to come in maybe just a little bit under, although that one turn was pretty impressive, maybe around the 5-point range.
Yeah, it's hard to say because Justin's banked most of his scores on the left.
That's a good point too.
So it's hard to get a gauge between them. We just saw Toi Tanaka dropping a 5.1 on a right. Maybe that was a little bit more dynamic than the last wave of Justin Becret. And then I'm not sure what happened there. Things going all kinds of pear-shaped for Tanaka on that last wave. Won't bother him though. Becret has grabbed priority. Toi Tanaka now a little bit further down the left. 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, coming down to that magical, mystical, terrifying 5 minutes, depending on which side of the fence you're sitting on. Becret will be waiting to see that last score still to be dropped. Still being discussed by the judges. 0.5, obviously, for a quick in and out for Tanaka. But more importantly, priority inside the last 5 minutes becomes pretty crucial, and that belongs to the heat leader at this stage, Justin Becret.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that last score to come in for Justin as well. Anything over a 5.33 will make the job that little bit tougher for Tanaka. And, Justin is heading to the south. Toi is heading to the north. So both men going their separate ways right now. And here goes Justin Becret. He would love to drop a big number and give himself some separation. Looks like he's on a pretty big surfboard. He's driving through some turns. Big sheet of spray on that last one. Not done yet though. Up and over with the backhand rock and roll foam climb. And repeats that treatment once again. And he's gone a long way down the beach. We can see the free surfers coming into picture. He now has 3 scores to drop in. Speaking of dropping in, our logo has just fallen off the backdrop behind us.
Yeah, so 3 waves to be dropped in here from Justin Becret. Again, waiting on the wave number 5. It was the right-hander. And then just a quick in and out, I think it was it's 2 waves we're waiting on. And then the left-hander, wave number 6, the one you just saw on the screen before. We'll have a look at that replay momentarily. He seemed to be stuck a little bit behind the section a few times, always trying to play catch-up. But let's have a look at some live action in the meantime.
Yeah, so here's Toi Tanaka. Currently he's looking for a 6. Gets hung up and cannot get in front of that section. And might have given himself a little quick jab to the temple as well, just trying to say, come on mate, snap out of it, get yourself back in the game. 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, have a look now at this replay. This is the left-hander, so last wave of Justin Becret. Quite high on the face here, gets one nice up and over. I love this turn. They're kicking up a lot of spray. And this one too, lots of projection out onto the open face, but still gets it up and over that section, but always just a little bit behind the white wood over here, and that means he can't get a big finish in. It's a 5.27 for his previous wave, the right-hander, and we are standing by for last of red, the left-hander, as we see the wave there, 1.57, and not going to go into the top two of Tanaka's, still chasing that score around a 6-point ride, and that's before we hear the score of that last left-hander from Justin Becret. 5.27 for the previous one, standing by for last of the left.
Yep, 2 minutes 20 to go. Justin Becret has priority. The red jersey swinging into action, going right this time, so it's very much been mixing up whether he goes left or right. This is a good looking wave, throwing plenty of spray with that last turn. Long drawn out wraparound cutback, hammers the rebound and then gets out of there. So still waiting on the score to come in for Becret's left, and then we have another score for his right. 2 minutes remaining. Toi Tanaka, well, there it is, second last wave of Becret. That left was a 5.23. So a lot of numbers dropping in, not much changing on the scoreboard. Toi Tanaka still looking for a 6 with a minute 40 to remain.
Yeah, this is the score we're still waiting on, Binzi. A nice little click turn on the outside here. Another little projection, and then a snap there. That was the best turn of that wave, but unfortunately a smaller inside wave with not a lot of major maneuver opportunity, and the 4.47 gets locked in there for Justin Becret. And here's those first two waves, the first two left-handers that he rode at the beginning of the heat, wave number 1 and number 2 for the Frenchman. That's looking likely to be his top two waves with a minute and 10 seconds remaining. Tanaka with priority.
Yeah, so a consistent performance from Justin. He's got 4 5s, 2 4s and a 3, so he hasn't really had any stumbles, but he hasn't really had anything spectacular either. It's a good position to start from. It's giving yourself a base. You know what the judges are looking for. You know that you've got average scores, to burn. You can do whatever you want, but would love to sign off with an excellent score and just show that he's more than capable of mixing it with the best as he goes deeper into the tournament. Here is Toi Tanaka. You would imagine this would be close to his last wave with 30 seconds to go, and he goes down awkwardly on that end section. A little bit of chop up the face as things get white watery, and Tanaka almost cops the beak of his own board to the head for his troubles. 20 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it looks like he was just trying to throw everything in that last turn. He actually had a pretty nice little backside stab on that outside maneuver. Coming down to 10 seconds remaining. The 6.0 is not going to be something he's going to get on that wave, particularly with that wipeout on that last maneuver. So it's going to be Justin Becret who's going to book himself a place back in round 3, and Toi Tanaka will be bowing out at this stage.
Alright, so the Frenchman through in Heat 7. Heat 8 coming next. Max Elkington from South Africa up against Dexter Muskins from the Gold Coast. Here we see some highlights of Justin Becret smashing his way through to round 3. A very even, measured performance. We'll be seeing him again when this competition resumes tomorrow or Thursday. Don't go anywhere. More action from the Taiwan Open of Surfing. This is the World Junior Championships. Things are heating up here at Jinzun Harbour. We'll be right back with more after this quick.
Story. Powerful. Heavy. Legendary. Deadly. Definitive.
to the Taiwan Open of Surfing World Junior Championship action in the water right now. This is Heat 8 with Dexter Muskins from the Gold Coast, Australia, up against Max Elkington from South Africa. Round 2 action, so unfortunately the loser is eliminated, and that is the fate we just saw before Toi Tanaka as he went down. It's been a massacre, the red jerseys over the blue this afternoon. Here goes Dexter Muskins looking to see if he can't right that wrong as he finds himself a really strong opener, going hard at these first few sections. I really like this wave. It's got a little bit left on it too as well. Dexter turning his way through to the inside, getting out of there, but that was a strong opener, a 5-point wave to get things going.
So exciting days coming down towards the tail end of our day here. It is currently 2:15 p.m. in Taiwan, and we had a bright and early 7:30 start. That sun kind of left for a little while, but it's back and shining as that wind has kind of cleared that clouds away. Max Elkington sitting with priority, our surfer in red from Cape Town, South Africa. Lives in Kolmiki, really great little town on the tip of Cape Point, exposed to lots of different swell, and he's used to those left-hand rides, which would be just kind of picturesque of his home break. So I'll be curious to see how some of those lefts unfold. We saw a couple good ones at the end of that last heat.
We did, with the cross-shore wind coming from the north, ruffling up the face of the right. Sometimes you can find a slightly more protected left running down the beach. Left seems to have pretty decent shape as well. The right runs into deeper water, so it can often fatten out unless it sort of doubles up on the inside and runs along the shoreline. The left, more traditionally, sort of straight into the beach, and you've got that right-hander coming at you as well from the South Peak, so it gives you an end section to blast off as well. Opening score for Dexter Muskins, a 5. Max Elkington yet to open his account. Very early days, 4 minutes gone in this one.
And we are going to jump down to the beach to catch up with Brad Bricknell with our winner of that previous heat.
Thanks, guys. Justin Brickett, the winner of that last heat. We've seen a lot of right-handers being the waves that have been getting the big scores throughout the day. You chose to go left on those first 2 waves, and those ended up being your top 2 scores of that heat. Talk us through that strategy.
I tried to go left because I saw a couple sets on the heats before, and it paid out. The left were good, even though some of them don't have the re-entry. I got a couple pockets I could hit, and it worked out well.
It's a pretty long day for you guys when the girls start first with the beginning of the day. You've got to wait almost the whole day for you to surf your heat. How do you kind of prepare mentally and physically for a long day waiting around for your heat to surf?
This morning I kind of cruised out at the top at the restaurant over there. Just did a free surf at night and just kind of chilled, and came back 5 heats before mine. Free surfed and prepared for my heat.
All right, now you're into round 3 of competition. You've averted that sudden death round 2. Everyone likes to get through that round 2 heat. Now that you're in the 3rd round, what's the outlook for you personally for the rest of this event?
Give everything and make my surfing grow up.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing more opportunities, maybe some big airs on those right-handers as the event gets back underway. Look forward to seeing you back in the 3rd round next time we get underway. Thanks, guys. Back to you guys upstairs.
Merci beaucoup, Brad. Thank you very much for that. And I like that answer there from Justin McCratt. What do you want to get out of this surfing, of this event? I just want to watch my surfing, or make my surfing grow. There's some great attitudes coming out of this competition, and you definitely need to use these as learning experiences, as we spoke about before. So much of this is new to so many of our competitors. Here's Dexter Muskins under priority, looking really lively, springy off the bottom. 2 turns, but 2 crisp turns for the Gold Coast Goofy Footer, and that will further extend his lead. Without priority, he's staying busy. Max Elkington, on the other hand, sitting with priority, waiting for that decent set wave to come along. And this was a nice couple of turns for Dexter.
Great flow between both of those maneuvers. Nice and snappy off the bottom. And he puts down a 3.87 for his backup score. His opening ride was a 5.0, which is a solid start to a round 2 heat. And yeah, just waiting for Max to find something. He's being very selective, which I definitely can understand. We have seen a few of those bigger sets coming through in the last hour. That swell is definitely starting to push through that we're expecting in the next few days. So maybe just waiting for one of those bombs. He was sitting down on the beach with his teammates. Kai Wolf took out the win in the first heat of our morning. She had a 7.33 that could have well gone into the excellent range had she finished her last turn. So great to see that those huge scores have been on offer from early on, and they're certainly going to be on offer towards the latter part of the day.
So, yep, Dexter with a 5 and a 3.87. The early leader. Max Helkington won't be too worried. He's yet to open his account. He's playing the priority game. 22.5 minutes remaining. Next heat in the water after this will be Cole Alves from Hawaii up against Lenny Jensen, who surfs for Germany, lives in the Canary Islands, which of course are Spanish islands off Africa. So the multinational globe-spanning reach of this event really does know no bounds.
And speaking of Reunion Island, which is another island off the coast of Africa, the other side, our beach announcer for this event, Aurelien Menu, he is a former World Longboard Tour competitor, and he has come on board as a beach announcer for this, and he speaks 4 languages fluently, which has been excellent to see with this international field in the water. He's really able to communicate to them and just help them in those situations. It's always a little bit annoying surfing heats when you've got a beach announcer who is more focused on maybe what's happening on the sand than what's happening in the water. And so he's just really passionate and focused on that side of things, which has been really good. And I think the surfers overall have been really thankful through the longboarding side of things, and now that he is in the mix for the shortboard side, he'll be able to speak French, Portuguese, Spanish, English, just at the drop of the dime, no problem.
Yep, he's a pretty good dude to boot. He's been jumping in the car with myself and Brad every day, staying back in Taidong City. And yeah, he's a really good fella. You're staying out here near the event. What's it like in this part of the world?
Oh, it's a pretty amazing little town called Dongha that's right here up the road from Jinsun Harbor. And there's quite a few little Airbnbs, a few hostel setups, no major hotels or anything. It's a really small town, which we really like. It's nice also being about a 3-minute drive away from the contest zone, so we can sleep a little bit later than you guys on the other side. There's a couple good food options, and there's just a really cool little surf community here. This is our 2nd year staying here. I've started out my events in Taiwan staying in the city and driving through every day, which is great to kind of experience that scene as well, because it is a really cool city. There's like, even just thinking of those lanterns and stuff, there's a couple really cool traditional things that are happening in the city, so we miss out on that being up away from it, but we do like the kind of slow pace activity in the afternoons here.
Yep, there's plenty of temples, karaoke bars, and 7-Elevens back in the city.
Lots of 7-Elevens. We got a 7-Eleven here, and that's like the local grocery store. There's a couple little stands where you can get some fruits and veggies and those sorts of things if you don't want to eat out at night. So we have been cooking dinner for ourselves a few of those nights, and we've got a few friends in the area as well, so we've just been connecting with the locals. It's been really nice to experience that, and yeah, we still have another week in Taiwan, which is pretty crazy because we have been here for quite a while, Benzie.
Yeah.
It's been a solid probably 11, 12 days since we've been in the country.
Yeah, I turned up on the Saturday, so what's that make it? Sort of, yeah, about 11, I think.
All right.
11 or 12.
I actually might be heading towards 14 because I got here on the Wednesday night.
I've been here 13 surfs. I know that much.
Hey, there you go. That's pretty good. Keep track of that sort of stuff. I didn't surf in those early days because it was massive at the start of the longboard waiting period. Really quite chunky. So many boards broken, as we've been talking about. So I wanted to save mine in one piece. I was only able to travel with one board on this trip, so just in case. But had quite a few fun surfs. In the last 5 days, it has been just perfect cruisy conditions. Still nice and punchy, I think, for those of you guys riding shortboards, but our longboard community has been frothing.
Yeah, well, Singapore Airlines and Virgin took a preemptive strike on my board and destroyed it beyond possible use before I even got here. So those big days, I was on borrowed boards. It was great. I didn't have a single care in the world. Anyway, local board repair man extraordinaire, Josh Hughes, is it? Josh?
Not Hughes, that's my last name, but I can't remember what, maybe Campbell?
Campbell,
I
yes,
think it's
Josh Campbell has done a fantastic patch-up job with my craft, and that is back in the water. Thank you very much to the local community. I thought, oh great, I've turned up in Taiwan, my board's in pieces. Chance of me getting this repaired, slim to none, and nope, not a problem at all, and reasonably competitive pricing as well. Very slow heat, 12 minutes gone. Just the 2 waves ridden. It's Dexter Muskins from Coolangatta with a 5 and a 3.87, who is a heat leader. Max Elkington yet to open his account.
All right, so very slow indeed. Just 2 scores on the board, both going to the Australian. And we'll have to see how this starts to unfold. Max got to be feeling a little bit of pressure, but he's got priority, so when that set comes through, he will be the one to have it. Maybe a little bit of a split peak as well. That right's still looking fun, but that left has been just running away down the cobblestones towards those free surfers. They've been getting a little bit close for comfort. We've heard our beach announcer giving them a strong word to stay out of that contest zone, and that's what, just thinking of that respect aspect, respecting our community.
I've heard our beach announcer too.
On yourself, Binzi.
So anyway, Dexter Muskins from Coolangatta would surf Rainbow Bay, Snapper Rocks, Greenmount, that part of the world non-stop. And of course that is one of the great right point breaks on the planet. So no stranger to doing work on his backhand, and that's where he's garnered all of his points so far. A 5 and a 3.87 for 2 right-handers that he's gone upside down on. Would like to find himself a bigger, chunkier wave that he can really string together some turns on, and see if he can't add his 5 and his 3.87 and get himself up into the excellent range with an 8. He'd keep that 5. He'd be doing it pretty nicely with 16 and a half minutes to go.
And Max Elkington, the surfer in red, as we see a little bit of free surfing down the way. Plenty of waves on offer in this area. Quick little in and out there. So Max, he's got a left-hand wave at his home beach called Long Beach. It is a beach break, but there's this kind of kelpie reef in the area. It's really cold water in Cape Town, South Africa. Some of the coldest water that all will surf in at any time of the year. And you pretty much guaranteed an ice cream headache unless you're really used to it. Most of these kids grow up wearing hoods and boots and potentially gloves depending on where they're surfing. There's a spot called Dunes that is just down the beach from Long Beach where he grew up, which is really well-known, famous barreling beach break. To me, it's quite terrifying. It's really cold. It's a really long walk down the sand, and there's a few friendly things swimming around under the water. So I stay clear of that. But there's also some really huge waves on offer where Max comes from. A really, really great big wave community there. Sunset is about a maybe 20-minute paddle from where Max would paddle out at Long Beach, just directly out into the middle of the ocean.
No, thank you.
And then Dungeons is across the bay, so you've got to take a jet ski's a bit sketchy, but you take a boat across the bay and at Hout Bay, where Max actually grew up.
Why is a jet ski sketchy?
The jet skis definitely get to use there quite often. So we've got some really good friends there that charge those big waves. A guy named Dougal Patterson, really good friends with Max Elkington. Another tidbit about Max, just had a word in from his dad. He broke his arm about 4 years ago. He slipped off of a roof, had a really hectic injury to his arm, and there was the potential that he wouldn't be able to surf again. And he made a massive comeback that year. It was an absolute miracle. And he then came back to win the junior championship, South African title, within his age category. I think he was under 15s at that stage. Which was a pretty huge feat alone to win, but then to come off of an injury like that probably fueled him all the way into the championship. So he's got an interesting history to his own surfing, and clearly doing well and healthy a few years down the line at the Junior World Championships.
Yep, he's not doing so well right now. Needs to get himself a wave to get his campaign underway here in Heat 8 of Round 2. Things really slowing down. They definitely weren't meant to. Looking at the forecast, things are meant to grow throughout today and tomorrow. There's no reason the wind shouldn't be acting against the swell either. I think we've just copped a bit of a lull. I was talking to K.O. Butler after his dominant performance earlier, and he was saying that you get a heat or two where it pulses, and then you get a heat or two where it backs off, and you get these lulls. he was lucky enough to get one of the pulsing heats. But right now we're definitely seeing things go a little bit flat for Heat 8 of Round 2. Men's World Junior Championship action, 13.5 minutes to go.
Well, it certainly has gone flat. So Max Elkington, over 15 minutes down in this heat, still yet to catch his first wave, but I like his adjustments here. He's paddled himself in. He's knowing that that set, if it does come, it's going to be towards the, maybe in those last 5 to 10 minutes of this, and he really just needs to put his opening score on the board. So adjusting his positioning, but as I say that, you can see this little bit of line on the horizon. These guys having a paddle towards the south. Max maybe having a look at this one.
Yeah, well, he's going to be a long way out. Dexter Muskins probably has a better line into it, and that's how it's going to play out. So Dexter on his backhand, this is his third wave, wanting to get rid of a 3.87. Not going to happen there. Quickly in, quickly out without priority. Just having a little bit of a speculative look at that one, and didn't like what he saw, so out of there. No harm, no foul. Priority remains with Max Elkington, and yet to catch a wave in the opening 17.5 minutes of this heat, which is unheard of in this year's World Junior Championships. We've seen 6, 7, 8 second period swell and tons of waves. We had a heat of the longboarding with 32 waves caught in 35 minutes. Finally, no, that's the free surfer down the beach. That looks like Kana Pang, possibly.
Wow, this is a very interesting one. So 12 minutes down. Does look like it's a little bit more consistent down that other corner. The guys are paddling in that direction. Max just really being patient here. He'll be ready to go if something comes through. Dexter Muskins looking to replace that 3.87. He's got a 5, which is a solid score at this stage. But there is a little bump coming through. Max Elkington having a look.
Yeah, here we go. Max Elkington. Well, he can't sneak into that, so Dexter latches on to the wider section. Can he get rid of his 3.87? Not going to happen there. So the wind has really gone out of the sails of this swell right now. Max Elkington yet to open his account through the opening 29 minutes of this heat. Dexter Muskins started off with a 5. He's downgraded to a 3.87. A 0.77 for his second last wave, and a 1.3 for the wave we just saw him take off, wiggle down, and kick out of. What about now? Again, Max Elkington too far out for that one, so Dexter Muskins jumps onto it. Nice first turn, up and over the foam with his second engagement. That was precise as well, and you would imagine he's got rid of his 3.87. And will further extend his lead. 10.5 minutes to go.
All right, so putting another score on the board. Dexter Muskins, 5 waves. Max Elkington, 0 waves to his name so far. Dexter looking to replace that 3.87. And now I'm starting to wonder, has this gotten the better of Max from the mental side, the competitive edge, as Dexter gets a nice little check on that first turn. Just a couple foam climbs thrown in the mix, but keeps things flowy and nice. Max Elkington needs to get busy. It does only take 2 waves to win a heat, but he's definitely going to have to take off on something. Here he goes, having a paddle.
Yeah, so Max Elkington from the other end of South Africa to his compatriot Luke Thompson. And this stage yesterday in his heat, Luke Thompson only had a couple of scores and then stormed home in the last 10 minutes with a pair of 6s to take the win. Can Max Elkington do that now? 2 big turns. That was nicely done. Again, you hear the South Africans below us roaring. They have been out in vocal force throughout this event, stirred up by the win of Stevie Sawyer in the longboarding on Sunday. So Dexter Muskins, he's got a number to come in. Max Elkington, 2 crisp turns.
All right, so just releases those fins a little bit, throwing some technicality into that first one, and the second throwing heaps of power. Long, lanky guy Max Elkington is, looking nice and comfortable on his forehand. He's got a score on the board, so we'll wait to see what that comes through. Dexter's last wave, a 4.33, and now one to come through for Max, and he will be chasing a second score. We'll see. It's not, this wave definitely won't put him into the lead, but it's going to put him right in the mix and decrease that requirement from 9.33 to something very attainable.
Yep, so Max Elkington is going to have to surf a 10-minute heat, but no worries. Up until this heat, through the last 10 days of competition, there have been plenty of waves, and you would imagine that this is just a minor lull. You'd hope that we're not developing a trend.
Absolutely. But I like that, Max really... He obviously waited for that wave because he waited 20 minutes for it, but it was a good wave. He surfed it really smart. He put some power and some drive into it, and he waited for the sizey one, which has definitely been helping that score line. Unless, those surfers are taking to the air, maybe something that's a little bit smaller and races a little faster on the cobblestones. But those bigger kind of power waves, it's great that it had those two sections as well. It didn't just taper off that shoulder as some of them have and allow just one turn. And that score drops through as a 5.67.
Yep, so worth the wait. Max Elkington with the highest single wave of the heat so far. He's only caught the one wave, but it's the best one we've seen in the last 23 minutes. He's now looking for a 3.66 with 7:45 to go. So Max Elkington with the best wave of this heat so far. Last wave for Dexter comes in at a 4.33.
And a little use of priority here. Oh, as Dexter Muskins just hits the brakes, goes down over the handlebars.
Yeah, he definitely hadn't planned that. Falls flat on his face. He'll pop up and see Max Elkington streaking down the line on this one. Wave doesn't really cooperate. Little tail drop floater, but that's not going to be the score that Max is chasing. 7 minutes, 10 seconds to go.
And he only requires a 3.66, so he went into that with a lot of speed and control, but like you said, it really just didn't open up for him. A 2.03 on the board for Max Elkington. He's chasing a 3.66. So at this stage, I would say the heat is definitely not decided. As we see that replay from Max, so driving that kind of mid-range high line, gets that little floater. Would have hoped that that wave could have held up for him a little bit farther down the line to kind of float past that section. It did not, however. Dexter Muskins back in priority. He had a little bit of a wobble and face plant on that last wave, so he'll be looking to reset and replace that 5-point ride to put a greater distance between himself and the South African.
Yep, so Dexter Muskins, a 0.63 for his last wave. Max Elkington, a 2.03 for his. Enough. He's looking for a 3.66. So a really low scoring heat with 6 minutes 15 to go. Can Max Elkington use that highest single wave score of the heat to pick up the win, or can Dexter Muskins hold him off? Anything over a 4.33 for Dexter will make the requirement that little bit tougher for Max. 5 minutes 55 to go.
Surfer in blue sitting with priority. Surfer in red chasing a small score to take the lead away, so it's really either man's game at this stage. We are currently in heat number 8 for day 2 of competition at the World Junior Championships. We saw men's and women's round 1 run yesterday, a very unique day of competition as every surfer in the event was in the water for heat. And then today we opened up with women's round 2, saw some exceptional surfing, few excellent scores in the mix with those girls. And then we are now just banging our way through round 2. We do have 4 more heats after this. We will wrap up around 2 more hours, 4:30 roughly, maybe 4:40 to be precise, p.m., at which Binzi and Brooks and I will be straight into the lineup, battling the grommets for the best waves that will come through, especially if there's lulls like this. We'll have that deep paddle.
All right, Cole Alves and Lenny Jensen making their way out to the lineup. 4:45 to go. Is this going to be a crucial exchange? Dexter Muskins hopes so, because he's on the first wave. Flying down the line, pushing that Hamo blade through its paces. This one looks like it's got a really nice rhythm to it. Bashes the end section, digs the nose out, and he'll be happy with that one. What happened on the wave behind? Looks like Max Elkington, there was no more opportunity for him there. So, has Dexter got rid of that 4.33? Has he extended the lead? Max Elkington will hope not. He's got a 5.67. So far, the best single wave of this heat so far. Currently, he's looking for a 3.66, although you'd expect that might grow as the last score comes in for Dexter. Here goes Max, up and over 2 vertical turns to get things going. has to put the foot down and try and get around this section, decides he's out of there.
And he is going to have a strong paddle to try to gain priority over our surfer in blue. Still waiting for Last of Blue to drop in. Max Elkington, I would say he'll get that 3.66, but that requirement may shift as Last of Blue comes in. So nice clean hit off the top to start. Nice little in the pocket snap. This wave goes a bit flat on him and he adjusts his surfing, his style, and his maneuvers to that. Gets to building some speed, puts the finishing punch on that wave. So he is definitely going to increase his scoreline and that requirement. Max Elkington answers straight back. Nice in the pocket surfing, 2-turn combination. Gets around this section, but that wave just goes flat and he knows it, so he goes for that strong paddle out to backline. And Max has, with that paddle, gotten himself priority once again. So 3 minutes on the clock. It is all in his hands. It will be interesting to see what that requirement is once these scores come through.
Yeah, so really contrasting heat strategies by Elkington and Muskins. Max has sat with priority for the majority of the heat. He's only taken off on 3 waves. Dexter Muskins, he's taken off on 7 waves, spent a lot of time without priority, and it seems to be working in his favour. His last wave comes in at a 5.77. So Max Elkington now needs a 5.11 with 2.5 minutes to go. And Dexter, well, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. He's going to keep sticking to his guns and catching everything that pops up under priority. That one's not going to go into his top 2. That'll be his 8th score. Still waiting on a number to come in for Max Elkington.
So there is a set coming through just behind him. Priority may be working in his favor at this stage, although he is surfing just a 10-minute heat realistically, having not caught a wave for the first 20 minutes. He's going to be very picky on that one. Lets it go. His last score just a 3.5, so he knows that wave selection is what he's going to need to lay into some power. A little bit of action in the lineup, but it doesn't look like there's any big sets coming through at the moment. And he would have his South African team down on the beach giving him whistles and hoots and hollers to let him know what is or is not coming. Dexter Muskins, like you said, Finzi, extremely different strategy here. He has already had 8 waves. I would bet he could get 2 more waves in the minute and 30 seconds that are on the clock and get himself to a 10-wave heat total.
Easily, yep. No worries about that. Minute 20 to go. Max Elkington really wants to get a wriggle on. Is he having a look at this wave? He's heading south. He's got himself onto a left. He's a long way back. He's got a lot of work to do. Beautiful, crisp first turn. Drives his rail for an age through that second roundhouse. This is a nice wave for Max. Is it going to stand up? He really wants to stick with this. He'll ride it all the way through to the beach. He's done it nicely. We'll hear the South Africans roar. You don't want to read too much into that because they are far from a neutral support squad. But with 40 seconds to go, Max Elkington will hit the sand. Has he done enough? Or can Dexter Muskins get rid of his 5 with 30 seconds to go and further extend that requirement for Max? Here goes Dexter.
Well, Dexter is not going to go down without a fighting shot. So driving that high line, getting around that section, little check turn off the top. Can he lay into something? Throws those fins, looking super controlled on that last turn. He's looking to replace a 5.0. Max Elkington with a big score to come through. Max chasing a 5.11. And it seems to be the theme of this event so far, or this week here at the Taiwan Open. Surfers waiting on the beach to hear their scores at the end of a heat.
Yep. All right. Well, that is the heat finished. Scores are still to be determined. We've got an important number coming in for Max Elkington. Got another number coming in for Dexter Muskins.
And we have just had the official call from our commissioner. We are going to go on standby, call the event off for the rest of the day, just given how slow that last heat was. And yeah, we're just going to have a little bit of a break. We'll come back bright and early tomorrow morning. But we do have scores to come through from that last exchange to see if Max Elkington is able to take the lead away. So very patient heat surf from the South African compared to the ever-active Dexter Muskins.
Yep, Dexter from the Gold Coast catching 9 waves across that heat. Twice as many as Max, who just had 4. His 4th wave is going to be a crucial one. We're waiting on that number to come in. So contest directors calling the event off for the day as things get decidedly slower in our final couple of heats.
So great decision from them. We've had an amazing day of surfing, super active heats early on, and I like that knowing how much time we still have. It's only Tuesday afternoon. We have all of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to run this event in the best conditions coming, and we know that there is some good swell on the horizon. We've got guys following those charts, figuring out the wind and the swell and all of that coming together. So we're just going to wait for that heat number 9. Cole Alves and Lenny Jensen would have no doubt checked in for that heat, but it will be a relief. There they are on screen that they don't need to paddle out and play the patient game.
Yeah, so there's Dexter Muskins just talking to Quicksilver team manager Sam Griffiths. Looks like Rio Wider in the background heckling his teammate. Dexter feeling confident at the moment, doesn't want to get too carried away though. We're still waiting on those last scores. One for Max Elkington where he blasted a couple of nice turns. He went left, and Dexter finished off with a wave right at the finish as well. So the judges are watching a ton of replays. There's Justin Becret on screen, winner of the previous heat. Still waiting on these last numbers before we can put a bow around day 2 of the World Junior Championships. It's the Taiwan Open of Surfing. We crowned 2 World Longboarding Champions last week. Now we're moving on to the best juniors in the world. Ethan Ewing